The legend of the Crimson Demon Clan begins with Suqing. Hello again, dear adventurers of the multiverse. Thanks for joining us once more on this epic journey. Remember, this story is pure science fiction from our wild imagination. So don't go trying to summon dragons in your backyard. The rights of this amazing novel belong entirely to its original author. We are only the narrators. Do you want more adventures? Show some love to our YouTube channel with a subscription and a like. And if you want exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting for you with open arms. Chapter 26 Arm Wrestling. Win. Facing Wei and Zun Zun, the two of them engaged in a passionate battle. The ultimate victor was Yunyun. Taking advantage of her larger size than Megumin, she pinned the little girl, achieving her second victory. One could only marvel at Yunyun's talent. Megumin had completely outclassed her the first time, but in less than half a day, she had discovered her weak spot and defeated her. Damn. If I wasn't so hungry, I wouldn't have lost so badly, she was bragging. Compared to Yunyun, the little girl had devoured the tempero bento Zun Zun had prepared for two at noon. Furthermore, Yunyun had spent the entire afternoon tending the fields, expending far more energy than Megumin. But don't get too conceited. It's only one win, one loss, Megumin retorted, defeated. She probably wouldn't physically face Yunyun again. Size and strength had always been her weaknesses. One win and one loss? Okay, I understand, Yunyun nodded seriously. I don't know what she meant. It was obviously just an excuse for the little lolly to not admit defeat. But it's great that their relationship is so good. After that, Zun Zun and Yunyun left. Although Aunt Wei repeatedly asked them to stay for dinner, thinking that they didn't even have enough food for themselves, she wasn't very kind to let them stay, so they simply refused and returned home. The next day, when Zun Zun arrived at the forbidden area, he discovered that not only Yunyun was there, but also the little lolly Megumin. And the two of them seemed to be competing in something. This is the last round, it really is the last round, Megumin. I've won so many times, yet you always say that the one who lost just now wasn't me, but me in disguise, and that I have to beat my second form to be considered victorious. But according to you, this should be your 10th form, huh? You don't know, the Crimson Demons are a very powerful race. They're like cats with 9 lives, they actually have 10 forms. Only by defeating them all can you truly defeat the Crimson Demons. Crimson Demons don't have that ability. And I'm a Crimson Demon too, don't you think, you weirdo. You don't understand the romanticism of Crimson Demons at all, Megumin bolstered her own self-image. However, the only weirdo among the Crimson Demons, a normal person, didn't believe it. Then, Yuyu gave a slight bow, carefully extending her wrist and placing it on the steps of the rickety altar. Megumin rolled up her sleeves and placed her hand over his, squeezing it tightly. Are we arm wrestling? Megumin, this time you have to wait for the countdown to finish before you start pushing. You can't sneak away. You have to count to 1, I know, so hurry up. Okay, 3, 2, 1, You're cheating again. The girl finished the countdown first, and suddenly used all her strength, intending to decide the outcome in one fell swoop. But Yunyun, just before the back of her hand touched the step, held on. Megumin blushed and clenched her hand in despair, but Yunyun, who was stronger than her, slowly withdrew her arm. The sneak attack failed. Megumin pouted reluctantly. In the past, whenever Yunyun resisted, she lost. It seemed like this time would be the same. No, this time was different. Because of their different positions, the girl could see Yunyun approaching, but Yunyun couldn't. At this moment, Megumin suddenly said, "Look! Zun Zun is here." She was trying to use this trick to distract Yunyun and win the arm wrestling match. However, Yunyun didn't even turn around and said, "Don't try to trick me, Megumin. You've already used it the 3rd, 5th, and 7th times, so I won't fall for it. No, I'm not joking this time. Zun Zun is really here. You said the same thing the 7th time. This little girl used him to trick Yunyun again and again. This was too much? I really don't joke. If you don't believe me, turn around and look. No, you must be lying." Seeing that Yunyun didn't believe her, Megumin felt completely helpless. She begged Zun Zun with pleading eyes, but Zun Zun was furious that the little girl had used him to trick others. He deliberately covered his mouth and even held his breath. Damn it, Megumin's face flushed. It was unclear whether she had used all her strength or if her plan had failed. But if you thought Megumin was going to give up just like that, You were wrong. Her mind was spinning. Yunyun, do you think I'm lying, huh? If there's no trust, how can we still be friends? Yunyun, you're really hurting me, huh? Okay, I'll see. The word friend irritated Yunyun, forcing her to turn around and look. She said, but Megumin, I won't let this drive me to become careless and weak, huh? Her words stopped. She had truly seen Zun Zun, and somewhat bewildered, she instinctively withdrew her right hand. Seizing the opportunity, the girl pinned Yunyun's hand against the altar steps and stood up, raising her right hand high and cheering loudly. I won, how outrageous, hey, there's no point in saying more. The final winner is me. What a pity, Yunyun, even though you saw the Crimson Demon's 10th form, you didn't defeat me. You're still far away, the Crimson Demon doesn't have that many forms, Yunyun cried with tears in her voice. Zun Zun stepped forward and said, what are you two doing here? It's Megumin. She said she wants to fight me, and the stakes are today's lunch. If I lose, she has to give it to me, Yunyun said. Zun Zun looked at the little girl, who had averted her gaze, not daring to look at him. Hey, I don't have any other choice. There isn't much food at home, so I had to resort to this method. Although it was still excessive, it was far better than the previous method of stealing. No, deep down, there was no difference. Megumin had lost so many times that the bet should have ended long ago. Wait, where's your bet? It's too much? The little lolly remained silent, and Zun Zun knew that she definitely hadn't upped the ante. Forget it. Luckily, I had the foresight to prepare a bunch of bento today, which should be enough for 3 people. Really? Zun Zun is a true role model for the Crimson Demon clan. This ability to predict the future makes him worthy of being one of the Crimson Demon clan's most promising fortune tellers in the future. Even if you say that, I won't let you eat any more. Despite this, Zun Zun was still somewhat proud. Yunyun was somewhat nervous and shy at this moment. She took out her lunchbox from behind the altar and said, well, in fact, I also brought her lunchbox. If you don't mind, let's eat it together. What? Lunchbox? When Megumin saw the new lunchbox, her mouth watered and she shouted, Yunyun, let's decide who wins. The bet is on the lunchbox in your hand. Let's see who eats it. Enough. Stop bullying. Zun Zun quickly stopped them. Chapter 27 Mimi. From then on, Megumin came every day. If you thought she wanted to cultivate with Zun Zun and Yunyun, you were wrong. Yunyun seemed a little guilty about eating Zun Zun's lunchbox every day, or perhaps she wanted to share hers with her friends, so she brought one each day. The girl had her eye on Yunyun's lunchbox. Since Zun Zun's rule was that no one worked, no one ate, Megumin had no choice but to challenge Yunyun to a duel, using her lunchbox as a stake. Sometimes it was arm wrestling, sometimes riddles, sometimes tongue twisters. The duels came in all shapes and sizes, and the winner always emerged victorious through various underhanded tactics to snatch the lunchbox back. Although Yunyun was constantly tricked, she remained adamant and even enjoyed the challenge. Could she be a hidden doom? No. Yunyun must have considered Megumin a friend, that's why she was so humble. That was definitely it. Besides, Yunyun was the type who would do anything if someone said, we're good friends, and Zun Zun didn't want to think otherwise. Zun Zun had also reported Megumin's excessive behavior. But the girl said that Yunyun's bento was her salvation, and if one day she couldn't eat it, she would surely die alone in the wilderness. Yunyun, worried about her friend, almost burst into tears. Considering that the two of them were like Zhou Yu fighting one guy, one willing to fight and the other willing to be beaten, and considering that Yunyun ate her homemade bento every day and didn't go hungry, Zun Zun stopped caring. Perhaps he was the third person, just part of their game. Time flew by. One day, when the corn was growing vigorously, the girl came to announce that Aunt Wei had given her a little sister. Zun Zun and Yunyun immediately left their work to visit. Upon arriving at Megumin's house, they found Piao Saburo taking care of Wei. That's right, as much as Piao Saburo loved making magic tools, he was still by his wife's side when she gave birth. That face, which should have been invincible, was now covered with an oily, doting smile that was a little shocking. I wonder if Jotaro had the same expression when his daughter was born. And not only was he as a bureau present, but also an unexpected person. Father, Yunyun exclaimed in surprise. Yes, the middle-aged man dressed like a Zodiac biker was the leader of the Crimson Demon clan and Yunyun's father. Yunyun? Why are you here? The leader paused upon seeing Yunyun, but suddenly understood. I see. You're here to see the newborn of the Crimson Demon clan, right? That's right. After all, Yunyun will inherit the position of leader one day, so it's only fitting that you're here. As expected of my daughter, you're so young, yet you're already prepared to take on the burden of the Crimson Demon clan. Ha 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 ha, he laughed heartily. It seems that the Crimson Demon clan has a custom of having the leader come to bless the birth of a newborn. In reality, it's just a custom, a bunch of jargon that sounds alarmist to outsiders, but incredibly absurd to members of the tribe. The clan leader looked at the newborn pretentiously and said, "Yes, you're the most talented of this newcomer." Had he heard of it before? Piao Sanlang, her magic power is quite high. The clan leader seemed very optimistic about Megumin. Zun Zun understood that he wasn't praising her, but that it was true. Piao Sanlang's magical power was very strong, even too strong. So the magic he created had significant flaws. And his children, by nature, possessed very strong magical power. This was also reflected in Megumin. The amount of magical power concentrated in that small body is terrifying even to me. When I grow up, I might destroy the world. Ha 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 ha. Good, confirmed. Only this clan leader knows how to put it. Seeing the clan leader laugh out loud, Zun Zun pursed his lips inwardly. Unexpectedly, upon hearing the tribe leader's words, Piao Sanlang and Wei Wei exchanged a glance and smiled radiantly, saying, "Really? Really? Destroy the world? As expected, my child, really? Amazing, hehe. I never thought my daughter had this much potential. I can't keep it a secret anymore." The same words again? Oh, why did I say it again? As expected, even after 8 years, Zun Zun still found the Crimson Demon's praise somewhat elusive. But at least Piao Sanlang and Wei Wei were happy. By the way, Piao Sanlang, have you chosen a name for your second daughter yet? A name, here they come, the dreaded name of the Crimson Demon. Although Zun Zun wanted to help choose a pretty name, a name was the first gift from parents and elders to their children, and he had no right to reject, even if it was an extravagant name. Unless, like Zun Zun, she stood up and spoke in human language, naming herself. Sadly, that didn't happen. While Piao Saburo was thinking, Yunyun suddenly whispered to Megumin, "Or, that? Megumin, sorry I came in a hurry, but I'll compensate you for the gift later." That, you? No, is Aunt Wei Wei the one who needs something? Rice. If possible, please bring enough rice. There's no rice in my jar. The little girl's eyes lit up with excitement. Rice? Okay, I understand, Yunyun nodded solemnly. On the other hand, Piao Saburo seemed to have heard the conversation between the two of them and was muttering, rice, and speaking of which, how long had it been since he had eaten rice? Lately, it's only vegetables and potatoes. It would be nice to have rice. Mimi? Not bad, it's a good name. The patriarch suddenly said this. Piao Sanlang was also stunned for a moment, but he quickly reacted and said, "Well then, let's call her Mimi from now on." That's right, Mimi. Just this name is worthy of someone who will one day destroy the world. Ha ha ha, Mimi? That sounds good. Wei Wei, resting on the bed, also smiled happily. Wait a minute. Is it really okay to choose a name so lightly? Yunyun suddenly couldn't contain herself. What's wrong? This name isn't bad, is it? Isn't that what all Crimson Demons do? And I chose yours too. No, that's not bad, but Yunyun wasn't entirely convinced. Zun Zun knew that Crimson Demons had weird names and that naming them was a casual thing to do, but she didn't expect it to be so weird, nor so casual. And Megumin's sister is named Mimi. Megumin, a genuine Crimson Demon, didn't object to the name Mimi either. She walked over, crouched down, and stretched out a white finger to play with a baby in the crib. Mimi, I'm your older sister. I'll protect you from now on. Ah, woof, woof. Mimi's pink face lit up with a smile at the little girl's drawling teasing. And speaking of which, wasn't she amazing? She could stand from the moment she was born, walk, and even talk. Am I really a genius? Zun Zun pondered. In short, when Zun Zun, Megumin, and Yunyun were 8 years old, in the early spring and summer, Mimi, one of the most prominent sisters of the Crimson Demon clan, was born, and she was destined to become a great figure in the future. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28 Big Fish Eat Little Fish Eat Shrimp. After Mimi was born, Piao Saburo stopped making magic tools and focused on taking care of Wee Wee and his newborn daughter, Mimi. Megumin was also free, working on the farm again with Zun Zun and the others to support the family. Wait? Aren't the roles reversed? But this division of labor is quite good. Not only can Megumin farm for free meals, easing the family burden, but Yunyun's lunchbox also provides nutritional supplements for Wee Wee and Mimi. Piao Saburo couldn't just invent a free meal and then use a trick to steal Yunyun's lunchbox. Something didn't add up. Well, Yunyun, haven't you figured it out yet? It's been a long time. Megumin and Yunyun rested on the worn altar steps. They were using a riddle to decide who would own the lunchbox Yunyun had brought today. Yunyun covered her head with her hands, her eyes trembling, and cried, wait a minute. That, the hotter it is, the higher it rises. The answer to this question is, fine, I'll tell you the answer, don't rush me, I'm about to find out. 3, 2, 1, wait a minute, the answer is the sun. Megumin didn't give her time, and after telling her the answer, she sneered, Yunyun is really stupid. You can't even guess such a simple question. Are you really from the Crimson Demon clan, famous for your high IQ and magical power? It's the sun? So it's the sun. Really? Give me a little more time, I can find out, but in the end, I'm the winner. Then, according to the agreement, Yunyun's lunchbox today will be mine. Yes, I understand. I accept the bet and give you today's lunchbox. Yunyun obviously lost, but her face was full of happy smiles. Seeing her like this, Zun Zun always felt a little sorry. By the way, Mom's been craving meat lately. Could you bring me some meat tomorrow, please? It would be even better if it was filled with meat. Meat? I see. I'll make it tomorrow. Yunyun carefully wrote it down. Even Zun Zun couldn't understand what had happened from the lunchbox bet going from a casual thing at the beginning to Megumin deciding the next day's meal. Of course, that didn't mean Megumin always won. Yunyun had strengths in certain areas. For example, well, it's almost time for break. So, Yunyun, let's compete to see who can plant the most fields. More fields? Okay, this time I'll really plant more than Megumin and win. Then the two began another competition. Naturally, Yunyun, with her greater stamina, won. Today, she planted more fields than Megumin and Zun Zun combined, because the little girl was simply being lazy. She hadn't even planted half of Zun Zun's half, completely slacking off. Yunyun was being manipulated, but she didn't realize it. Instead, she joyfully celebrated having won. Stop it, stop chasing Yunyun around. Zun Zun covered his eyes in pain, not wanting to see that heartbreaking scene. Yes, I lost. Little Lolly didn't deny her defeat, but feigned helplessness and said, then what do you want me to do? Do you want me to help you carry the farming tools back, or massage your shoulders and legs? If you want me to carry you back, then forget it, Yunyun. You're too big, and my physical strength isn't enough. Perhaps then Yunyun will be the one to carry me back. I'm not big, and I don't need Megumin to carry me. Massaging my shoulders and legs is also fine, but Yunyun said she wouldn't do anything as excessive as Megumin. Then she lowered her head. Her cheek slightly red, her fingers still twisting. Megumin persisted, what exactly do you want? Hurry up and tell me, if possible, tomorrow, come with me, beef rice. The restaurant in town has launched a new menu, supposedly in preparation for next year's tourist attraction. Of course I'll treat you. Hey, Megumin, what are you doing, goddess? You must be the goddess. Goddess, please accept my worship. Wait, don't worship me. It must be said that Yunyun is slowly maturing. She used to be so shy she couldn't even speak, but now she knows how to seduce with food. However, the next day, Yunyun didn't show up. I didn't think that girl would break a promise, but now it seems she didn't come, the girl said resentfully. She had wanted to sit on the altar steps early this morning, looking forward to it, but from morning until almost noon, Yunyun still didn't come. This was unusual. Yunyun was always the first of the three to arrive. Once, she even arrived before dawn. When asked why, she replied, the book says it's polite to arrive early when meeting up with friends, so I came early. Megumin sighed deeply. Really? She said we'd have dinner together today, And she still hasn't come. It seemed that even the little girl had developed a friendship with Yunyun. You know, I haven't eaten since last night, just waiting for more beef rice to be brought out. I'm really hungry. And if she doesn't come, I won't be able to eat a lunchbox full of meat, right? Anyway, Zun Zun, I'm hungry. Can you let me eat my lunchbox first? Taking back what she said, this guy was just treating Yunyun like the school's lunch machine. You ate too much from Yunyun's lunchbox. At least worry about her a little. There's nothing to worry about, right? She must have something else to do, so she didn't come. Megumin didn't think Yunyun was purposely breaking her promise. That was good. But seeing Megumin wolfing down her lunch without a care in the world, Zun Zun felt a little dissatisfied. A mocking smile spread across his face, then quickly disappeared, replaced by a slightly worried expression. Could something have happened? Look, this is a forbidden area, so it's not unusual for monsters to appear, huh? Even if you follow the correct path, you won't encounter any monsters, but if something attracts monsters, like a lunchbox that smells like meat, Zun Zun surreptitiously observed the girl's reaction. Silently, he put down his lunchbox, picked up the axe by the altar steps, and turned to head back the way they had come. Zun Zun looked at her in amusement, calling out, Megumin, you want to work? But the fields are this way, you're going the wrong way. And aren't you going to eat your lunchbox? No, my mother just asked me to do something, so I have to go home first, the girl said without even turning her head. Just as she was about to disappear, Zun Zun seemed to remember something and called out, I suddenly remembered. You said something happened at home today and that you had come over this afternoon. Sorry, Megumin, I forgot. Then, Megumin appeared standing there in a daze. Zun Zun was covering her mouth with her hands and laughing, but soon her expression changed to fear. Wait. Megumin, I'm joking. Don't get excited, the girl, her eyes red, rushed over, holding an axe. Chapter 29 Lao Dang, my ghost fire is parked outside your house, is it safe? At night, Yunyun arrived late. Megumin was visibly relieved to see her, but Yunyun's face was quite gloomy, her lips pursed, her head lowered, and her mind uneasy. She couldn't even answer the girl's simple riddle, when 3 out of 10 candles go out, how many are left? So she gave up and handed her lunchbox to her. For some reason, Megumin felt dissatisfied, and Yunyun's absent-mindedness worried Zun Zun. However, Yunyun didn't break her promise and offered Megumin beef rice, inviting Zun Zun. They arrived at the only restaurant in Crimson Devil Village. Zun Zun and Megumin sat to one side, Yunyun opposite them. At the restaurant owner's invitation, they ordered 3 servings of blazing hellfire dance beef rice, which sounded outrageous, but was actually just ordinary beef rice. The 3 of them drank ice water in silence. In the past, if someone had invited Megumin to a meal, she would have danced with joy and devoured the feast. However, amid Yunyun's silence and desolation, even the little girl remained silent. Excuse me, I'd like a premium pudding with natural nerolide, is that alright, Megumin? You're going too far. Zun Zun tried to dissuade her, but Yunyun nodded, agreeing to her outrageous request for dessert. Something was wrong. This wasn't a regular indulgence. Even the little girl, who normally paid no attention to other matters, sensed that something was wrong. But just as she was about to order, the restaurant owner brought 3 bowls of steaming, fragrant beef rice, and her mind was completely absorbed by the food. Zun Zun wanted to ask, but it was difficult to do so in the current situation. In that atmosphere, he fell into an eerie silence. After the meal, Megumin toyed with a premium pudding with a spoon. Mature parents would have taught their children not to play with their food, but Zun Zun knew she was torn between eating the pudding and taking it to Wei Wei and Mimi. Finally, her sister, convinced that she shouldn't be greedy after already eating the beef rice, forced herself to ask the restaurant owner to package the premium pudding and take it to her mother and sister. Zun Zun couldn't help but cover his forehead. To demonstrate his filial piety, he ordered 3 more puddings. The premium pudding, infused with natural nerolide, was quickly placed before the 3 of them, and the girl began to eat happily. Yunyun did the same. Thank you, no, thank you, just consider it a gift in exchange for the beef rice, but she didn't expect the pudding to be so expensive. It was worth the price of 2 bowls of beef rice, a truly premium pudding infused with natural nerolide. After eating and drinking to their fill, the 3 of them left the restaurant. Just as they were about to part ways and return to their respective homes and mothers, Yunyun revealed something shocking. I'm sorry. Starting tomorrow, I can no longer go to the forbidden area. I'm so sorry. She looked incredibly aggrieved. Without even waiting for Zun Zun and Megumin to say anything, she turned around and ran off, tears streaming down her face. What's with him saying he can't come? Megumin was surprised by the sudden farewell. She was right. After all, they had known each other for so long, so it was normal that she was worried about Yunyun. No, this is bad, Zun Zun, Megumin cried out in a panic. If he doesn't come, there won't be any lunch boxes. How will I get the nutrients I need? Without lunch boxes, my father, mother, and sister will all starve to death, and I will soon starve to death. If I starve to death, no one will learn explosive magic. Without explosive magic, who'll defeat the Demon King? If no one defeats the Demon King, the world will end. The world won't end over a trifle. Zun Zun pulled the little girl away as she walked over excitedly. She wasn't worried about Yunyun, but rather the lunch boxes. And how did a family of 3 end up relying on others' lunch boxes for alms? But it seems something must have happened. Zun Zun nodded. Yunyun, who usually arrived early, was unusually late today. His uneasy feeling had finally come true. Fine, let's see what was going on. First, he sent the girl home. After washing and changing, Zun Zun went to the largest house in the Crimson Demon village, the clan leaders. Yunyun didn't come out. The clan leader greeted him. When Zun Zun recounted the story, hoping for a solution, he was shocked. Yunyun won't cultivate again. Why? Yunyun is the next clan leader of the Crimson Demon clan. She has her own mission. Her destiny is to lead the Crimson Demon clan into a new era. She doesn't have time to play house with you. What the hell? Zun Zun almost lost his temper upon hearing the clan leader say that. While it was true that it was very different from the Crimson Demon's cultivation method, which employed high-level grand and heroic magic, it was strange to be in a good mood after hearing that. I really wanted to hide him. Zun Zun, having been rejected, was furious. According to the clan leader, his daughter, Yunyun, would inherit the throne, forcing her to learn the necessary knowledge and frequently participate in the grueling trials, which could lead to her death. Does this guy even realize whose fault it is that his daughter has no friends? It's because of the leader's constant antics that Yunyun can't socialize properly, and when she finally does make friends, they suddenly start causing trouble. Damn middle-aged biker gangs. Wait, biker gangs? The Crimson Demons pay a lot of attention to their appearance. Though it may seem strange to outsiders, even to the point of being bizarre, the Chuanyabao-afflicted Crimson Demons insist on calling this their quirks, believing their attire to be beautiful and elegant. In that case, Zun Zun will let him know that bosses aren't so cool. Zun Zun returned home and began rummaging through the boxes. Speaking of Basuzoku, the Red Demons were popular for a while. In his limited memory, his parents seemed to have worn clothes like that. But after searching for a long time, he only found an old windbreaker and a pair of pants at the bottom of the box. Both the windbreaker and the pants were too big for Zun Zun. But it didn't matter. The Red Demons owned a tailor shop. He took the windbreaker and pants and went to the tailor shop at night, and asked the owner, Chekla, to make the clothes smaller and also asked him to embroider some words on the back. After hearing Zun Zun's request, Chekla's eyes lit up, and he said he could finish the modification in one night. At the same time, Zun Zun also returned home and took the toy bicycle his father bought him as a child out of storage and modified it overnight. So the next day, outside the clan leader's house, there stood a man with his hair deliberately combed into a column, wearing ragged trousers with holes, a bandage on his chest, and a large windbreaker with the words, "I am the only one in the world" embroidered on the back with sensual gold silk thread. Beside him, a stylish bicycle with all sorts of strange decorations gave one a headache just looking at it. The most shocking thing was the steel bowl that served as a bell. Zun Zun used the small wooden stick in his hand to tap the bottom of the bowl, making a slightly harsh noise, and shouted, "Laodang, my campfire is parked outside your house. Is it safe?" Chapter 30 I have no talent, please give me more advice in the future. The atmosphere in the room was somewhat heavy. Furthermore, both of them were dressed like Basuzoku, and someone unfamiliar with them would mistake them for father and son. The clan leader, sitting on the opposite sofa, crossed his arms and raised his head slightly as if examining himself, but Zun Zun felt that this was the first time the other party had taken him seriously. Similarly, Zun Zun also raised his head and stared at him, unwilling to be outdone, like a rebellious delinquent. The two remained in a stalemate. After a long while, The clan leader suddenly laughed and said nostalgically, "The last time I saw this outfit was before your mother got married. I didn't expect so many years to pass in the blink of an eye." Sure enough, it was his mother's clothes. Zun Zun knew that, with his father's timid personality, it was impossible for him to wear such clothes. There's no need to reminisce. The clan leader's nostalgic expression faded, and he became serious again. "What exactly do you want to do?" "I want to take Yunyun away. I told you not to, so there's no room for negotiation." Zun Zun followed suit, crossing his arms over his chest, his head slightly raised and his gaze lowered, as if he didn't care whether he agreed or not. Rather than being reprimanded for his insolent and disrespectful behavior, the clan leader's gaze reflected admiration. This is how the Crimson Demon clan should behave. I should have said that Yunyun is destined to lead the Crimson Demon clan into a new era. What's the point of becoming the Crimson Demon clan leader? If Yunyun hadn't become the Crimson Demon clan leader, the Crimson Demon clan would have been in chaos. The evil spirit sealed in the village would have wreaked havoc, and the Demon King's army would have been left with no one to resist. The world would have been destroyed. The world won't be destroyed over such a trivial thing. Stop it. Why are these people always exaggerating? Where in the village had the evil god been sealed, and where had the Demon King's army been repelled? How is it possible that the world was destroyed? Only then did Zun Zun realize that the village seemed to have sealed the evil god, and that the Demon King's army seemed to have been constantly harassing it. But this is all your fault, right? Don't blame Yunyun for these problems. As if choked by Zun Zun's questioning, the clan leader, unusually, did not refute, but instead began to think seriously. After a long pause, he finally sighed and said, "I can't do anything. The Crimson Demons and the Demon King's army have an old grudge. A millennia-old dispute isn't something that can be easily resolved. I'm sorry for Yunyun, but for the Crimson Demons and for world peace, I have no choice but to do this." Wait a minute. The Crimson Demons haven't even been among us for 400 years. How can there be a millennial-long grudge? Besides, if you're talking about a grudge, isn't it because the Crimson Demons are always the first to pick a fight? They place spy binoculars in people's rooms, have picnics at the Demon King's castle every year, and then bomb it afterward. Quick, get rid of all that. No. This has been a Crimson Demon tradition for thousands of years, didn't I tell you? The Crimson Demons haven't even been among us for 400 years. Zun Zun experienced once again what stubbornness meant. But this time, I wasn't going to let you fall under my shadow. No matter what, I was going to take you to Yunyun today. I'll say it again. The delinquent Zun Zun placed one foot on the coffee table, his arms resting on his knees, his expression fierce and menacing, like that of a villain, threatening the middle-aged motorcycle gang in front of him. "I'm taking her away today. I don't see who dares to stop me. If you don't agree, I don't know what I'll do. The evil lurking within me might corrupt me, and the Crimson Demon village will suffer a devastating blow. It might even be razed to the ground before the Demon King's army arrives." The red light in his eyes was incredibly intense, as if expressing the speaker's determination. "What?" the clan leader said with a grim expression. "Although I knew you possessed world-destroying magic, I didn't expect you to go to such lengths for Yunyun. Tell me, what is your relationship with Yunyun?" "She's my most important tool, eh?" Zun Zun's reply caused the clan leader's eyes to light up. "Really? Going to such lengths for Yunyun? Crimson Demon style?" "Ha ha 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 ha!" She laughed inexplicably. Just then, hurried footsteps were heard outside. Yunyun soon appeared at the door of the living room, shouting, "No! Father, Zun Zun, stop arguing, eh? Yunyun, you misunderstood me. We weren't arguing, but you." Watching Zun Zun, standing on the coffee table and arguing with her father on the sofa, Yunyun was clearly not convinced. "Also, Zun Zun, why are you dressed like that, eh? There's a reason. Let's not talk about it for now." Yunyun stepped between the two of them, blocking Zun Zun's path and addressing the clan leader. "Father, I will become a qualified Red Demon clan leader in the future, so, no, there's no need, eh?" "I was inconsiderate. I didn't expect you two to have such a relationship. It seems I expected too much of you, Yunyun." "I'm sorry." The clan leader lowered his head in apology. Surprised by her father's actions, Yunyun quickly waved her hand. "No, there's no need to apologize. Hey, what's the point of such a relationship? Ha ha ha, no need to explain. I understand." The clan leader laughed heartily. Although Zun Zun didn't know what he understood, he was certain he had misunderstood. B. But what about clan leader training? Don't worry about that trifle. We'll deal with it later. B. But, father, didn't you say that the training for clan leader would last for several years and that there would be an extremely difficult clan leader test every week? You will die if you are not careful. That's typical Crimson Demon rhetoric, as if it's so dangerous that you could die if you're not careful. That's the fate of the Crimson Demons. It's always exciting to hear that. Yes, Yunyun, you haven't signed up yet, so you haven't learned it yet. Ha 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 ha. The Crimson Demon leader looked relaxed. The Crimson Demons loved to exaggerate like this. He had no idea how much pressure his daughter, the only normal person in the Crimson Demon, would feel after learning of the overwhelming challenge she was about to face. Zun Zun said to the stunned Yunyun beside him, "Don't be so patient. If it bothers you, you can beat him up whenever you want." "Alright, Yunyun." The clan leader was stunned. It turned out that the so-called special training was merely learning some knowledge from the clan leader. There was no danger at all. It merely interfered with Yunyun's daily farming schedule, and he had set it on a whim. After the misunderstanding was resolved, Zun Zun and Yunyun left in their toy cars. The clan leader stood by the window, watching them leave with a satisfied expression. "Not bad, this kid even has the same tastes as me. So it seems like it's not bad at all." They walked for quite a while. Embarrassed, Yunyun suddenly closed her eyes. "I'm sorry. I made you so worried." "I'm so sorry." She bowed repeatedly to Zun Zun in apology. Yunyun probably thought that the incident was just an accident that her father had blown out of proportion, causing trouble for Zun Zun, which was why she felt embarrassed. "It's nothing. I was worried about Yunyun too," but she was actually more annoyed with the clan leader. But now it seems that although the clan leader, like the rest of the Crimson Demons, is prone to chunibaku, he still has a deep affection for his daughter. At least, Yunyun's insistence didn't stop her from farming. At least it turned out well. Yes, Yunyun twisted her fingers awkwardly. Seeing her like this, Zun Zun suddenly said, "By the way, let's be friends, eh? Weren't we friends before?" Seeing Yunyun on the verge of tears, Zun Zun quickly explained, No, I meant to be more formal. After all, the reason I caught Sister and Megumin before always led to unnecessary misunderstandings. Is that so? Please give me your advice, Yunyun." "Yes. I'm not very talented, but I hope you'll give me your advice in the future." "Wait a minute, that's not the right way to make friends." Zun Zun expressed surprise at her approach to friendship. Chapter 31. Since you asked sincerely, I will tell you out of mercy. When Yunyun saw the little girl, she immediately apologized. "I'm sorry I said such weird things and made Megumin worry about me." "That's right, it's your fault, Yunyun, for saying such nonsense. I was so nervous that I couldn't sleep all night." "Really?" "Sure. I spent the whole night wondering what would happen to my lunchbox if you didn't come back, Yunyun. I'd go hungry." "You don't even care." Children's words are innocent, but Megumin's worries are always baffling. This time, Yunyun didn't argue, but instead smiled. It seemed that she considered them friends as well. "But since Yunyun is my rival, would it be better if you weren't around?" "That wouldn't be right." Finally, in the face of the little girl's teasing, Yunyun tearfully promised to come every day and asked her to wait there. And so, the days passed. Although each day was peaceful, with Megumin and Yunyun as two lively companions, it wasn't too boring. In the blink of an eye, harvest time arrived. Strength lies in unity. Zun Zun placed his hand on his head, surveying the expanses of golden cornfields. This was a much larger harvest than the previous year, and a feeling of pride filled him. The girl even shed tears of gratitude. Yunyun, however, showed no reaction. She was the daughter of the clan leader, after all, so she had some perspective. Otherwise, the violent elders wouldn't have mocked her for playing house. And this time, Sister Tao Lao was once again helping with the harvest, along with the Fengayule trio. You're the daughter of the clan leader, aren't you?" Yes, I'm Yunyun. Please give me your advice." It was a perfectly normal greeting, but Yunyun was overcome with nerves. It seemed that, aside from Zun Zun and Megumin, she still had a hard time socializing. Her shy personality remained intact. The daughter of the clan leader, yes, she certainly looks like the future clan leader, as the heir she had been eagerly awaited since childhood. She should have been delighted with such expectations, but Yunyun did not look pleased at all. The pressure of such expectations was getting the better of her. "How strange," Huolala asked curiously, looking at the silent Yunyun. In this situation, Shouldn't she have presented herself with great pride, with all those cool Crimson Demon poses? What a huge wasted opportunity. This little girl doesn't understand the romanticism of Crimson Demons, Hululu and Hong Longlong said. Yunyun listened to the three of them chatting, oblivious to the others. She had been told that every time she met other Crimson Demons, and over time, she had been treated like a freak. Yunyun lowered her head deeply. Oh no. She felt inferior again. It wasn't Yunyun's fault, she was the only normal Crimson Demon. But in this world where all Crimson Demons suffered from Chunyabayao, normal people were treated like freaks. We had to change this. Zun Zun secretly signaled to Sister Talao, who nodded in understanding. He stepped forward, extended his right hand, and shouted to the three little lawless, "Who are you, huh?" What? The trio was confused by Sister Talao's sudden shout. Zun Zun then bowed left, raised both hands to the upper left, and shouted, "Since you ask so sincerely, then, with mercy, I shall tell you." The cooperative little lolly Megumin bowed right, raised both hands to the upper right, and her expression turned serious. To prevent the destruction of the world. To maintain world peace, to implement the evil of love and truth, a cute and lovely villainess, Zun Zun. Megumin. After Zun Zun and Megumin finished their introductions, they simultaneously turned to look at Yunyun, who was completely exposed in the center by the left and right bow stances, leaving the reserve girl blushing and bewildered. But under the gazes of Zun Zun, Megumin, and the wind, rain, and thunder trio, whose red eyes shone with anticipation, Yunyun hesitated for a long while, her face as red as crimson and her entire body trembling slightly. But she eventually closed her eyes tightly, spread her arms, and assumed a one-legged stance. Yunyun, Zun Zun and Megumin nodded in satisfaction as they announced her name. "We are the Crimson Demons, traveling the galaxy, white hole, a white tomorrow awaits us." "That's right," the three concluded. Oh, the X4 wind, rain, and thunder trio on the trapped sister cheered and clapped. Great, so that's it, a group performance. How original, right. After all, the Crimson Demons always perform as one of the few. A group like this has never existed before. Everyone was very happy with the performances of Zun Zun, Megumin, and Yunyun. This combination seemed more impactful than a single performance. The Fengayule trio quickly plagiarized it and made up their own performances, preparing to present them to the teacher during the next physical education class. But Zun Zun, why do you say you're the villain? To respect the original, but that wasn't the case. Zun Zun sincerely felt that the Crimson Demons were more villainous than the Demon King's army, which might have been constantly pestering and chasing them. That was all. Sister Talao found it strange, but she didn't question it. After all, the Crimson Demons were known for their own preconceived notions. Perhaps Zun Zun was too young and hadn't yet developed a rigorous self-conception. That must be it. Seeing them engrossed in their introductions, Zun Zun quickly spoke. "Sister Talao, Fengayule, aren't you here to help with today's harvest? Let's get started. If we don't harvest now, we won't be able to finish today." Yes, I forgot. Of course I do, my Crimson Demon bloodline is influencing me." Hululu was already a mature Crimson Demon, always capable of acting naive in the most unusual situations and then justifying herself. "By the way," Hualala said, looking at the cornfield, "Zun Zun, have you expanded your plots?" Yes. Zun Zun couldn't say for sure that he had only expanded his plots because of the encouragement of the other Crimson Demons. For 3 young children, such a large plot was certainly a bit demanding, and every day was tiring. But the rewards were also very generous, and with this year's favorable weather, the harvest was sure to be even greater than last year's. "Okay. Yunyun, if that's the case, let's have a competition to see who harvests the most." No. I won't be fooled again. Megumin always says we want to see who planted the most, but then she just sits there doing nothing, completely slacking off. But didn't Yunyun win in the end? Or did I simply not serve my punishment for losing? That's not the case. Yunyun thought it over carefully. It seemed like she had never cheated after losing. Of course, that only applies to farming. Hey, it seems you still don't get it, Yunyun. I was lazy before just to accumulate strength. Now it's my peak time, and I've been enduring humiliation for this day. What? I get it, this time I won't lose. I'll give it my all, then let's give it a try. Let's see who is the best farming king of the Red Demon Clan. I don't want such a lowly title. Even though she said that, Yunyun still wanted to win, and the two little lawless quickly ran towards the fields. Chapter 32 Identity Exposed. This year's harvest was much larger than last year's, but it was also much harder. How tiring! If we knew magic, we wouldn't have to work so hard. Don't be ridiculous. That magic doesn't exist. In fact, although the Crimson Demons could use magic to cultivate in a big way, they still had to diligently harvest their own crops. Why don't we develop our own magic? Agreed. But it's better to learn advanced magic first in school and graduate successfully. You're right. Upon enrollment, the Crimson Demons, if they learned magic, be it beginner, intermediate, or advanced, would graduate immediately. As for the reason for this strange and rigid rule, it was because their ancestors thought it was cool. Zun Zun wiped the sweat from his forehead. He had heard the wind, rain, and thunder trio's conversation, but he didn't plan on wasting valuable skill points and time on something like that. After all, the original purpose of farming was spiritual cultivation, not simply cultivating the land. Compared to others' criticism of using magic for farming, outsiders view Crimson Demons like Zun Zun, who seek power, as the correct choice. Elsewhere, Megumin and Yunyun were working hard in the cornfield, their harvest piled up beside them. She had expected Yunyun to win by an imposing margin, but unexpectedly, the pile of corn next to Megumin was also very tall, and the two were evenly matched. Megumin was right. This time she had truly shown her true ability. Or perhaps it was food that was driving her, and she was pushing herself to the limit. The girl, panting on the ground, wiped the sweat from her forehead and said proudly, "Hey, I told you not to underestimate me. This time I won." "No, I haven't lost yet." Yunyun stood up with difficulty and said, "Megumin, you must be too tired to move, but I still have strength. And don't forget, this competition has no time limit. As long as I harvest more corn than you before the harvest is over." Her mind had never been sharper. She considered playing to her strengths and opting for a protracted battle. Whether it was in recovery or initial stamina, Yunyun far surpassed Megumin. It seemed that the little girl's defeat was inevitable. "I won't let you succeed." Megumin tackled her to the ground, knocking her to the ground, and declared, "So, if I stop you, you won't be able to surpass me. The final winner will be me. Let go of me, let go of me." "Megumin, you're cheating again." As Yunyun had said, this match had no time limit, and it certainly didn't prohibit tripping one's opponent. Megumin took advantage of this loophole to thwart Yunyun's attempts. Yunyun, of course, didn't tolerate Megumin's bullying and quickly fought back. The two of them struggled in the cornfield, the atmosphere growing increasingly intense. Suddenly, a dark shadow enveloped them. "What are you doing, huh?" X2's struggling suddenly stopped. We're picking corn." "Yes, picking corn," the little girl reacted quickly, gathering up the corn that had been scattered in the fight. Zun Zun's face twisted. It's my fault. I was so busy picking corn that I forgot to take care of you two." He gave them a good scolding. The desire to compete to see who could harvest the most corn was good, but Megumin and Yunyun were too careless in their haste, and much of the corn was damaged by their rough handling. That was what really irritated him. Zun Zun looked at the cornfield, which still had more than half of it unharvested. Compared to last year, this year's harvest was much larger and the acreage much larger, so it hadn't even been completed in a day. Let's stop for today. Yeah, I'm exhausted, my back hurts too, damn, I'm not even that tired in gym class. Tualeo, make it up to me later." Tualeo wiped the sweat from her forehead. The Fangayula trio also complained bitterly. The four of them were delicate girls, all grand mages, so it was normal for them to feel tired. Zun Zun let out a soft sigh. He, too, felt a strange sense of fatigue. He's been exercising every day for the past year. Although he hasn't measured his strength yet, his power and stamina are definitely better than an adult's. He learned this after arm wrestling with his father during Chinese New Year. As for Megumin and Yunyun, they were completely collapsed on the ground. Despite Zun Zun's attempts to stop them, they couldn't stop the fight. They hadn't been able to move since the afternoon, and they didn't know if it would affect them until tomorrow. "Okay. Then, Talao will treat us to dinner later. Zun Zun will cook." "Zun Zun cooks?" "I'm excited." "Well, although I hate to admit it, Zun Zun's cooking is definitely better than my cafe's." Speaking of which, during the winter, the Fangayula trio would often use the excuse of visiting Talao to get free food, and sometimes they were especially disappointed to discover that it wasn't Zun Zun who cooked. "Is this okay with you, Zun Zun?" No problem, of course, Tao Lao wouldn't refuse. But first, we need to shower. Sister Tao Lao tidied up her dirty clothes. It wasn't just her, the Fengayule trio, Megumin, and Yunyun were all covered in mud. After a long day of sweating, they desperately needed a bath. But, Sister Tao Lao, our bath can't hold that many people, so we'll have to force you to go to the mixed hot spring. Let's reiterate. The mixed hot spring isn't a mixed bath or a hot spring, that's just a name, it's just a normal public bath, the only one in Crimson Devil Village. That's right. Is that okay with you? We don't need to discuss such trivial matters, the important thing is to shower quickly. I can't stand being so sticky, everyone nodded. Then, Sister Tao Lao, I'll go home to prepare dinner, aren't you coming with us? I'll wash at home. Zun Zun shook his head. It was a joke. Which section of the public bath should he go to? And whether he was a man or a woman, his true identity would eventually be revealed, and he would be ridiculed as Nanyang. The scene was too beautiful, he couldn't bear to think about it. So Sister Tao Lao and the Fengayule trio took Yunyun and Megumin to the bathhouse, while Zun Zun returned home alone. First, he left his tools in the storage room and then prepared the ingredients for dinner. He didn't rush to take a shower. Zun Zun planned to leave while dinner was cooking. After taking a shower and when dinner was ready, Sister Tao Lao and the others would return. The timing was perfect. When everything was ready, Zun Zun smiled as he went to the bathroom, took off his clothes, washed up, and took a good bath. But just as he was about to leave, he realized he didn't have any clothes to change into. He had forgotten. Sister Tao Lao had always prepared a change of clothes for him, and he didn't expect to rely so heavily on her without realizing it. But it didn't matter. Anyway, no one was home. So he could go to the room to get it. Just as Zun Zun opened the door, "No, I can't, I'm going to throw up, that's why I told you not to drink so much milk after bathing even if Hong Long Long is trying." "Megumin, you always listen." Two little girls appeared in the bathroom. "Huh? X3. The three of them looked at each other in confusion. P.S. Since I'm prone to slips of the tongue when writing, I've given the plot a preview. Originally, the discovery was made during water treading practice. Chapter 33. Zun Zun is a child. Long, curly eyelashes, straight hair. Delicate build, slender fingers. Her fair skin was tinged with a soft pink, her round face lightly crisscrossed with veins. Especially now, fresh out of the shower, her moist, sweet scent was refreshing and pleasant, like a lotus emerging from the water. Megumin looked up, seeing the same tranquility, but as she looked down, her face suddenly twisted, the taste of milk swirling in her mouth, and she couldn't help but blurt out, "Traitor." "Huh?" This accusation was so bewildering that Zun Zun hadn't expected it. Yunyun was completely stunned, her eyes spinning, her head dripping like a steaming mess. Zun Zun was afraid his brain was going to burn. "Ah, should I scream now? Megumin, what are you saying like that? Ah," she suddenly shouted, and Zun Zun's vision went dark, and she quickly covered the girl's mouth. But it was too late, the trapped sister had already been called away. Seeing Zun Zun naked, Sister Tao Lao's expression grew slightly enraged. "Zun Zun, you can't do this even at home. We have guests today." Something was definitely wrong with her anger. Awkward. Extremely awkward. The four people in the room were sitting at the dining table, with no one speaking first. The oppressive atmosphere made everyone uncomfortable. "A child, indeed is a child," Yunyun lowered her head and muttered, as if she couldn't accept that Zun Zun was a child. Megumin was also fidgeting, but her gaze was mainly focused on the kitchen behind Zun Zun. She was more concerned about dinner than the fact that Zun Zun was a child. Zun Zun wanted to die. If there were no one in this world he cared about, he would have gone to see the stupid goddess Aqua again right now. Luckily, Sister Tao Lao said that the Fengayule trio had urgent business and couldn't come. Otherwise, revealing his identity in this situation would have caused ridicule and ridicule. Should he lie to them and say he was mistaken? Or tell them that although he was biologically male, he was mentally female? No, 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 this is a backward world, and it still can't keep up with the latest versions. Besides, what if the Crimson Demons with their Chunabayo, learn this? When introducing themselves, is it necessary to distinguish between psychological and biological gender? Just when Zun Zun didn't know how to start, it was Sister Tao Lao, the eldest, most mature, and most reliable of the four, who spoke first. "Actually, Zun Zun is not only my brother, he's also my sister." "Huh? You don't know?" When Zun Zun was born, they were twins. but his magical power is so strong that the clan leader, that is, your father, Yunyun, said as soon as he saw him, "This child can destroy the world in the future, but his magical power is too difficult to control, and he might die before that." How could my father say that? Yunyun was almost in tears of excitement, and hurriedly asked, "What happened next? What about Zun Zun and my sister? How are they now?" And at that moment, my sister seemed to sense something, and suddenly she shone all over and merged into Zun Zun's body, allowing him to survive. Don't worry, she is not dead, but shares a body with Zun Zun. So, in order to take care of his sister and his body, he took the initiative to wear women's clothing. You must understand him and be considerate of him in this regard. It's actually like this. Yunyun covered her mouth, her eyes moistening with pity for Zun Zun's strange and complex story. Zun Zun's eyes darkened. She had forgotten that, despite being gentle and mature, Sister Taoliao was actually a member of the Crimson Demon clan. Especially after receiving the Crimson Demon's education, her storytelling skill had become even more advanced. The girl listened with great interest, her gaze towards Zun Zun changing with a strange expression. Enough, Zun Zun slammed the table, stood up, and said, "I don't have such a strange and complex narrative. There is no other person inside me. I am who I am. I have been a child from the beginning." Yunyun was stunned. Sister Taoliao returned to normal, saying, "Really? That statement has already been enough to fool you, right? At least I want to be honest with my friends. The Crimson Demon clan is a group that likes to create fantasies about themselves, a lover from a past life, a present fate, a half of me, etc. But forget about the fantasies of having another person inside me. She can't have to talk like a child anymore, right?" Megumin curled her lips in disdain. What a wonderful story. Why expose it? She, a typical Crimson Demon, was deeply interested in these scenarios. Although she had yet to begin her education as a Crimson Demon, she had already been shaped by the words and deeds of adults. Only Yunyun was confused. What about the strange and twisted experiences? It's fake. What about the magical power? Magical power so vast it could destroy the world, so uncontrollable. No. Yunyun's father always says that when a baby is born. Don't you know? But what about my sister? My sister, it's fictional, fictional. As the only, normal, freak in the Crimson Demon clan, she still didn't understand the concept of Chuanibao. Just now, she was about to cry with emotion and sympathy, but now she was furious at being tricked. Her sister, trapped, rushed over to comfort her. Yunyun wiped her eyes, looked at Zun Zun, and asked cautiously, "In that case, are we still friends?" "Of course, is that so?" She looked relieved. Trap's sister patted her head sympathetically. "Yunyun, you just ripped off my brother's banner, huh?" Young and devoted to her friends, Yunyun didn't understand what Trap's sister was trying to say. But Megumin is amazing. She didn't even react when she found out Zun Zun was a boy. "Yeah, we bathed together," Trap's sister suddenly added. Megumin shuddered and fell silent. Yunyun, on the other hand, suddenly stood up and looked at the shocked girl. Megumin, don't you want to say anything?" I just ignored it. How many times do you think we've bathed together? I'm embarrassed to think about it. I really want to learn explosive magic right now and destroy the world." The excited girl had red eyes and a flushed face. She didn't seem to care, but she used dinner to distract herself. Now that the subject was brought up again, she couldn't help but feel shy. Chapter 34. This kid will definitely be a big shot on the future. After their identities were revealed, nothing changed from usual, or did it? Yunyun claimed not to care, but she was even more shy and reserved than before, sometimes even afraid to look Zun in the eye. Megumin, though shy, remained loyal to Zun Zun, but refused to bathe with him, no matter how much Sister Taoliao urged her. The relationship between the three changed only slightly, and Zun Zun breathed a sigh of relief. The Fangayuli trio remained on the sidelines. Although they felt the atmosphere was a little subdued, they managed to smooth things over with Sister Taoliao's help. The harvest took 3 full days. The harvest was twice as much as last year, thanks to the good weather, Yunyun's help, and the fact that most of the land was used. Zun Zun distributed the grain in a ratio of 5-4-1. Of course, he took 50%. Yunyun was late to help, so he took 10% less. As for Megumin, not only did she come to help right before the harvest, but every time she came, she took up Yunyun's time and stole her lunchbox. Giving her 10% was already a favor. It was recognition of the girl's hard work during the harvest. Zun Zun helped Yunyun carry the food home. Although the clan leader didn't mind the small amount, he gladly accepted it, as it was the first time his daughter had gone to such lengths to bring food. Moved, Yunyun considered it a gift and said she would treasure it forever. No, 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 eat it. How could food last forever? After much persuasion, Yunyun reluctantly agreed, her expression heartbreakingly regretful. Then came Megumin's house. The girl should have retrieved it herself, but she had been so busy harvesting that her muscles ached and she couldn't get out of bed. He missed the last day of work, and now he had to admit that he had lost to Yunyun. Zun Zun, carrying a large bag almost as tall as he was, walked briskly toward Megumin's house. He had discovered that even without diligent training, his body would grow stronger with proper nutrition, but for some reason, he could not develop the enviable physique that would make him so impressive. He arrived at Megumin's house and knocked on the door. It was Megumin who came out to greet him. She shakily pushed open the slightly tilted door, her face pale, clearly still recovering from the hard work of harvesting. Seeing the foods Zun Zun had brought, the girl smiled radiantly and stepped forward to take it. Unfortunately, her strength was lacking and her muscles ached, so she could not handle the enormous amount of food, so Zun Zun had to help her carry it inside. Piao Sanlang and Wei Wei were also delighted to see Zun Zun, their benefactor. In the living room, Piao Sanlang crossed his arms, raised his head slightly to demonstrate his authority, and said, "Even if you gave me all this food, I wouldn't give you Megumin. No, 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 this isn't a betrothal gift. Unless it's twice as much, are you also a generous monk?" Zun Zun couldn't help but grumble. "Besides, how could you sell your daughter like that?" Piao Sanlang was very curious about the generous monk, but he didn't ask, maintaining his rebellious attitude. This was also what Zun Zun had asked of him before. Even so, he felt a little unhappy. "Uncle Piao Sanlang, aren't you ashamed of always relying on Megumin to support the family? She's only 8 years old. As the head of the family, shouldn't you be doing something? You've been staying at home for so long. Even for Aunt Wei Wei and Mimi. You should be working hard." Zun Zun's condemnation left him speechless. Especially since it was the sentence of an 8-year-old child, it made a respectable Piao Sanlang feel a little embarrassed. He sighed deeply and said, "Yes. After all, I am the head of the family. It's truly shameful to always rely on Megumin to support the family. Okay. Decided. I'll go back to making magic tools." "What did you say? It's been so long. It's time to restore Piao Sanlang's reputation. Ouch, my blood is burning like a red devil. Now I can really make top-notch magic tools. I'm going. Mom, I'm skipping dinner." With that, he got up and ran out of the house. Zun Zun was stunned. He felt like he had done something wrong. Just now, Piao Sanlang didn't seem to be idling at home, not making magic tools. It seemed more like he was looking after the family. Now, following Zun Zun's words, he had a reason. "Haha, sorry to disappoint you. It's like this." At this moment, Wei Wei came in with the tea. Her face was full of smiles, and she didn't seem angry that her husband ignored her and was obsessed with making magic tools. Zun Zun had asked her before why she liked Piao Sanlang, and she had replied that serious men were the most attractive and always made her uncomfortable. Zun Zun felt a little envious of Piao Sanlang. Later, Wei Wei insisted on staying for dinner, and Zun Zun, unable to resist, agreed. Thinking of checking on Megumin, he entered her room and found her joking around with her sister. "What are you doing, Zun Zun?" Megumin tilted her head, looked at him, and said, "I'm teaching Mimi to talk. Isn't it a bit early? Mimi was born in late spring, and now, in autumn, she was only 6 or 7 months old." Zun Zun, who could already walk and talk as soon as he was born, was a remarkable person. "That's enough, and Mimi already speaks simply." "Really? Sure. Mimi." Megumin fiddled with the baby in her crib with a hint of pride. Sister, yes, sister, Mimi." Although her words were a little slurred, Mimi uttered the word sister and seemed to understand Megumin's words. This child could become an important figure in the future. Zun Zun also came over, fiddling with Mimi and teaching her, "Brother, Perhaps because Megumin didn't have a brother at home, she didn't know the word. Just as Zun Zun was teaching Mimi to call him brother, Wei Wei called out to her from outside the door. "Megumin, will you come in for a moment, right away?" "Zun Zun, I'll leave Mimi to you." Zun Zun waved her off. indicating that she shouldn't worry. After Megumin left the room, she continued teaching Mimi. Brother, sister, repeat after me. Brother, sister, no, brother, sister, what the? Zun Zun was stunned, unable to discern whether there was a problem with his teaching or with Mimi's learning. Then, Megumin returned. She entered the room, stood in front of Mimi, pointed at Zun Zun, and asked, who is it, bugger, what? Who taught you that, brother? Zun Zun dares to guarantee that this child will grow up to be a big man in the future? I'll glue the Easter eggs on later, and it'll look better with them. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35 Life is Easy. Time flies, the days are like quicksand in the palm of your hand, slipping through your fingers no matter how hard you try. Among the peaceful days of eating, drinking, playing, and enjoying a wonderful childhood with the girls, Zun Zun turned 12. 12 years old. Do you know how I spent those 12 years? Do you? Looking back, my childhood was incredibly happy, each day like dipping into a pot of honey. But just as crops make their way through the earth from their planting season to their growing season, so too did he transition from childhood to adolescence. So, even though he hated it, he had to attend the only school in Crimson Demon Village, the Crimson Prison. It wasn't crimson, nor a prison. It was just an ordinary elementary school. Upon reaching the appropriate age, children from the Crimson Demon Village entered this school to learn general knowledge, while also receiving the advanced mage class known as Grand Mage, and began their magical training. Crimson demons, naturally gifted with intelligence and magical power, usually remained at the school to train until they mastered magic. Here, mastering magic was equivalent to graduating. The skill points required varied depending on the magic one wished to learn. The more powerful the spell, the more skill points were needed to master it. Advanced magic is a skill that all mages aspire to possess. Mastering it allows one to wield a wide range of powerful spells. Furthermore, in the Crimson Demon Village, mastering this skill is considered a sign of someone capable of standing on their own 2 feet. For example, Sister Trouble successfully mastered Purgatory's advanced magic 2 years ago and graduated with honors. Zun Zun wanted to emulate a sister and graduate with honors as well. She had thought her life would continue as uneventfully as the first half, but now she had met her match. Zun Zun, what are you doing here? Megumin asked, clutching the magician's hat she had given him 2 years ago. Her red eyes reflected a cautious look, as if distrustful of the handsome young man before her. Zun Zun slightly curled his lips, and from his height, a head taller than her, he looked down at her with an arrogant yet incredibly beautiful smile. Do you mind if I come? Damn it. You chased me here. You're so persistent. But I won't give up. Just watch. I'm going to learn the ultimate magic, explosive magic, and use it to defeat you. Hey, I'll be waiting for you. But before that, I must remind you that explosive magic is rare. Can you perform it? The two collided at the school gate. Seeing this, Yunyun couldn't help but say, Megumin, what are you talking about? Zun Zun is 12 years old like us, so it's only natural that he goes to school. Yunyun, you are a weirdo. Huh? Megumin gasped in dismay, but Yunyun didn't understand her mistake. Even now, she still didn't understand the Crimson Demon's Chuanibaku improvisations. Megumin, didn't you forget our bet from yesterday, whose adventurer card stats are the highest? Of course I didn't forget. The first step to becoming a student isn't attending the opening ceremony, but obtaining an adventurer card and choosing a class. Yesterday, the three of them were filled with both anticipation and dread about starting school. Somehow, during their conversation, they got onto the topic of card stats. In Suqing, the criteria for choosing a class is based solely on aptitude. If you meet the aptitude requirements, you can choose the corresponding class. If you don't meet them, you can only choose the next level up or another class. However, if you don't meet the aptitude requirements for a class, you can only choose the novice class, the common adventurer. Yunyun, come too. Let's bet today's lunchbox. If I lose, I'll give you a shoulder and leg massage. What? Aren't you brave? You're the daughter of a noble clan leader. Are you afraid of losing? Don't keep trying to provoke me with that. Okay. Since we're competing, I won't lose. Yunyun understood the challenge, but accepted. They arrived at the school gymnasium. There they would open their adventurer cards and hold the opening ceremony. Come to think of it, there are surprisingly few people. It is a small town, after all. There were only a handful of students in the gymnasium, about 20 or so, with a male-to-female ratio of roughly 1:1. And yet, the clan leader still insisted on a bountiful harvest. Next, seeing the empty seat in front of him, Zun Zun took a step forward and, at the same time, opened a class card on a strange-looking instrument. The light dimmed for a long time before fading away. Outside, it would have been astonishing, but inside Crimson Devil Village, it was par for the course. Still, Zun Zun noticed that he had taken a bit longer than the others. Your magic power is truly immense. I haven't seen someone with this much in centuries. Even more so than that little girl just now. Even the teacher who was sizing him up was dumbfounded. Furthermore, after receiving the card, Zun Zun discovered that he could choose not only Great Mage, but also Crusader, Sword Master, High Priest, and Combat Master, just about any high-level class. It must have been the advantage of his divine body. But he still chose Great Mage. These are merely the rules of Crimson Devil Village. If you don't choose the Grand Mage, you can't enroll and lose all benefits. Only those who have been there know the extent of the benefits offered to students. Not only are there subsidies for food and transportation, but you can also use the exorbitantly expensive laboratories outside the school with a simple request. And you can consult the teachers anytime, anywhere. The wealth of educational resources is enviable. The same goes for the schools in Crimson Devil Village. A skill point potion worth tens of millions of Eris outside of school can be easily earned in school with good performance. Speaking of skill points, Zun Zun looked at the adventurer card in his hand. Level 1 was displayed at the top, and below it were 30 skill points. 30? Zun Zun blinked. Elemental magic requires 5 skill points, intermediate magic 10, advanced magic 30, and explosion magic 50. In other words, if I wanted to, I could master advanced magic and graduate immediately. No, that would be silly. As I had just said, learning magic in school was the equivalent of graduating. In contrast, not learning magic meant you could continue learning for free. For example, Megumin only graduated after accumulating 50 skill points in learning explosion magic. Who wouldn't learn for free? But it was only 30 points. Think about that idiot goddess Aqua. She chose the high-level High Priestess class, mastered all the skills, and even had extra points to develop talent skills. Compared to her, I was still far behind. Zun Zun. Let's compare stats. The little lolly Megumin, holding her lunchbox, moved forward with her head held high. Yunyun followed, aggrieved. It was obvious that Megumin would win. Obviously, I have more strength, stamina, and agility, but Megumin said that even if I had more magic, I would win. Yunyun wiped her eyes. Megumin, other than your magic, you have nothing special. Zun Zun stared at Megumin's chest. Although she ate her fill, Megumin's breasts remained flat, a pitiful sight. A dangerous look fell into the girl's eyes. What do you mean? Tell me. If you want to fight, I'll accept. Crimson demons fight anything, I won't. Okay, you want a stats contest, right? Come on. Zun Zun pulled the girl away from him and showed her his adventurer card. HMPH, you're lost. My master says my magic is the most powerful he's ever seen, until he met me. What? Comparing their stats, the girl was stunned. If we were to describe her by her stats, the girl's stamina, strength, agility, and endurance were all at the very bottom, and her luck alone was equal to an average person's. But Zun Zun had solid 6A stats. How impressive. Yunyun couldn't help but exclaim. Zun Zun looked at the stunned girl and laughed. Life is a piece of cake. Chapter 36. The female demon will finally be punished. After a somewhat lengthy opening ceremony, Zun Zun and his future classmates entered their new classroom. What are you doing here? The girl shouted, pointing at Zun Zun, who was sitting to her left. Yunyun, who was sitting to her right, said, don't make so much noise, you'll disturb the others. Megumin. And didn't we tell you before? Zun Zun is the same age as us, so of course he's here since he's starting school this year and we're classmates. No. I mean, why is Zun Zun sitting in his classroom? Isn't he a boy? This school has separate classes for boys and girls. So, as a boy, Zun Zun should be in a different class. SHHH. Zun Zun gasped as well. He had been careless. After the opening ceremony, When the classes were divided, he subconsciously followed Megumin and Yunyun into this classroom. He didn't expect this school to have separate classes for boys and girls, even though there were only about 20 students. "What's wrong with you? What happened?" At that moment, several girls approached. Leading the group was a girl with short, wavy hair and an eye patch. She wore the Crimson Demon Clan uniform, but her pates were even broader than Yunyun's, swaying and attracting a lot of attention. If I recall correctly, her name was Yao Gaohu. Looking at the classmates who had gathered around him, Zun Zun tried to recall their names: Yao Gaohu, Ruan Huhu, Dong Donggu, Migansi, Ichi, Zhuanjuan. "You must be Zun Zun, right? I remember the teacher said you're the most powerful mage in this class." "No, the most powerful in hundreds of years," Yao Gaohu praised. "By the way, what were you talking about? Did you mean Zun Zun was a boy?" "A boy," the twin pigtailed girl, if I recall correctly, yelled. "Is he really a boy?" As she exclaimed, the others looked at Zun Zun in his seat. With her silky hair and delicate face, she was so dazzlingly beautiful that it was no exaggeration to say she was the most beautiful girl in the Crimson Demon tribe. They thought wearing a boy's uniform was a natural part of her personality, but was she really a boy? A girl that beautiful, could she be? It was a surprise to them. "Hey, what are you doing here? Return to your seats. The roll call is coming." The classroom door opened, and a middle-aged man wearing a shawl walked in. Seeing him, Megumin quickly raised her hand to signal, then pointed at Zun Zun and said, "Teacher, this person." "Zun Zun is a boy, quickly take him out of the class." "What?" It turned out to be like that. The teacher was also stunned when he saw Zun Zun. After thinking for a moment, he said, "Good, then go study first. I'll talk to the head teacher." "Wait a moment, Professor, what's wrong? Do you have anything else to say?" Of course, Zun Zun stood up from his seat, adjusted his tone, and said with emotion, "In fact, when I was born, something very devious and strange happened. Yes, it was my sister and me. Makabaka Wuzidasi. That's why I came to this class, hoping that my sister would also experience the taste for school, at least. I hope she can have friends my age." "What? Are they two souls in one body?" After hearing the scenario his sister had prepared for him, the teacher was shocked and quickly made a decision. "I didn't expect it. Fine, I'll allow you to stay in this classroom, and you will be a student of this class from now on." "Thank you, teacher." Zun Zun smiled and looked at Megumin with strong provocation, while the little lolly pursed her lips in reluctance. "Also, Zun Zun will earn 100 points. I didn't expect you to come up with such a brilliant scenario as soon as you entered school. I'm very touched, teacher. I'll get the skill point potion later. Now, I'll go tell the headmaster. You can study for a while first, that's all." The teacher said this quickly and slammed the classroom door. Upon hearing that Zun Zun could obtain the skill point potion, the little lolly became very jealous. There are two ways to obtain skill point potions in school. One is to place in the top 3 in the class exam, and the other is to accumulate 100 points daily. More importantly, the chance of obtaining the potion was due to his own behind-the-scenes tricks. He felt even more depressed at the thought. "I didn't expect a teacher to favor you as soon as you entered the school. You are worthy of being the most powerful mage of the Red Demon Clan in 100 years. Perhaps you will achieve astonishing feats in the future. It will be a highly skilled supporting role. In addition to standing out, he can also guide his opponents to create a good atmosphere, and his choice of words is particularly appropriate and pleasant. Zun Zun likes him." Seeing a petite figure hunched over and trying to wriggle away, Zun Zun won't give her the chance. "Megumin, where are you going?" My shoulders are a little sore. Can you help me massage them?" Little Lolita paused, and after a moment of silence, she reluctantly returned to rub Zun Zun's shoulders. Megumin didn't want Zun Zun to be in the same class as her because she had just lost the competition. After all, they had bet that the loser could rub the winner's shoulders and legs at any time, and the bet would last for a month. The arrogant little devil will eventually be punished. Although Megumin always cheats, she will admit defeat and fulfill the bet when there is no room for objection. Zun Zun seemed very happy. After seeing this scene, Yugu nodded. "So that's it. You won over your subordinates as soon as you entered the school and obtained second place in the entrance exam. It's really impressive. I'm really looking forward to seeing what surprising actions you will do in the future. Yugu is what you know." No, that reticent expression doesn't seem to win anyone over. The twin-tailed girl waved her hand and said, "By the way, today is the first day of school. We're going to Sticky Curly's house for an entrance party after school. I don't plan on joining a group with you guys." The little lolly raised her chin proudly. Obviously, in her opinion, these classmates will only be her stepping stones, and there's no need to get close to them. Huh? She gently glanced at Megumin, who was still stroking Zun Zun's shoulders, not understanding why a servant could be so arrogant. Yugahu, on the other hand, crossed her arms and praised him. "Not bad, you're behaving unsociably right after entering school. It seems you know a lot, huh?" The little lolly and she nodded slightly. It seemed that he also had a better impression of Yugahu. But in fact, Zun Zun knew that the little lolly didn't want to attend the back-to-school party due to lack of money. If he was asked to invite her, he would change his attitude immediately. On the other hand, Yunyun was also invited. "You're the daughter of the clan leader, right? I didn't expect us to be in the same class. Because your presence is a little weak. How about you want to go to the back-to-school party you just mentioned, huh?" Can I? I want to go." "No, please let me go, don't be so polite." Faced with the other's invitation, everyone present, except Megumin, quickly came to an agreement and prepared to attend the opening party after school. Although Megumin behaved strangely, she didn't say anything. She seemed determined to maintain her unsociable personality. "Megumin, come with me after school." "No, I'll treat you. It's the winner's request. If you leave, the punishment will end here, then there's no other option." "I'll participate reluctantly." The little lolly, who was still wanting to rebel, instantly changed her mind upon hearing this. In this sense, it's just like Piao Saburo. The author's main idea is that he listens to advice, and the book changed immediately. Chapter 37, Take It for Granted. Advanced magic is not easy to learn. Unlike elementary and intermediate magic, it requires not only chanting spells and fixed postures, but also directing magical energy along specific routes. It was no wonder that he was unable to cast the magic at first. But for Zun Zun, this was not a problem. Possessing the divine body, he memorized the incantations and magical energy flow for advanced magic that very day, and in the class exam the next day, he obtained a perfect score, taking first place in obtaining a skill potion. Upon learning of this, Megumin immediately attributed his lack of pectoral muscles to the lack of a proper magical energy flow. But it seemed that her research had not been wrong. After all, the most powerful mages of the Crimson Demon clan possessed broad pectoral muscles. This was certainly true for Sister Tao Lao and the Fengayule trio. But he still remembered Aunt Weiwei saying that her family's slender figure was hereditary, and Zun Zun suspected that it was probably the main reason for Megumin's petite figure. From blaming herself for not eating well to blaming her magic for not flowing properly, if it didn't get stronger even after her magic was flowing properly, I wonder what excuses she had come up with? The sound of hands banging on the table brought Zun Zun out of his thoughts. It turned out that Yunyun was about to offer Megumin another tribute today. No, she was about to have a competition today. "Megumin, you know what I want, right? Okay. By the way, what did I have for breakfast today? I'm starving." Is that so? I carefully prepared today's side dishes. "No. Why is it based on my losing to you? I will definitely win today." Although she always said this, she would always lose completely and then joyfully hand over her lunchbox. Zun Zun knew without a doubt that today's winner would be Megumin. The girl took out the skill point potion she had won from the top 3 in the previous test as a bet and placed it on the table along with Yunyun's lunchbox. "Given the inequality at stake, I will decide the contest this time." "Okay, noble daughter of the clan leader, don't call me the daughter of the clan leader." "Yeah, I get it. I'll let Megumin decide the contest this time." "Okay, I win." A sinister flash crossed Megumin's face. "Let's compete in the next development assessment. Let's see who is the smallest and most environmentally friendly woman." How treacherous, such a traitor. There's no way I can beat Megumin in this kind of competition. Even though I said I wanted to compete, I still resent your overconfident words. We're the same age, how can there be that much of a difference? You're too conceited. The girl, who seemed to have lost despite her clear victory, was furious. Angrily, she repeatedly hit Yunyun, making her scream in pain. "This is what they call asking for trouble, Megumin." The classmates then headed to the infirmary. Zun Zun signaled to the two who were still playing to hurry up, and Yunyun even said, "If you have confidence, why don't you compete to see who is bigger?" However, Megumin pretended not to have heard, quickened her pace, and chose to run away. Soon the assessment began. First up was Yu Gu Wei. Oh, Yu Guwei has grown again. He's probably the biggest in the class now, the teacher exclaimed in admiration. Although Megumin found it hard to admit, this boy deserved the title of the fastest growing Crimson Demon. His height and physical development filled her with envy. When he stepped down, the two surrounded her. Megumin stared at Yu Guwei's chest and said, according to my research, you will become a very powerful great mage. In terms of growth speed, I, Zun Zun, would like to consider you the best among the Crimson Demons. Zun Zun stared back at her, envious. Just as the girl yearned for broad page, Zun Zun also yearned for massive muscles. Yet no matter how hard he trained, his physique remained as trim as ever. In a way, they were close friends, sharing the same suffering. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'll take it as a compliment, he said, proudly crossing his arms. This gesture accentuated his ostentatious page, and both Megumin and Zun Zun drooled with envy. Next, Megumin, hearing the teacher's call, the girl boldly stepped forward. Megumin? Well, I've told you many times that there's no point in holding your head and chest up. Growth assessments use measurement magic. Taking a deep breath and holding it like you're doing won't affect the results. The teacher saw through her weak resistance, and her puffed-out chest instantly deflated like a deflated balloon. In the end, the girl only grew a little. Seeing Megumin's distressed look, Zun Zun stepped forward to comfort her. Relax, Megumin. Did you forget what I said about concentration being the key? Don't get discouraged, you're already amazing. I remember you saying the same thing when the potato harvest was bad and they were super small. Are you trying to call me a wrinkled potato? Damn it, watch it, I didn't say that, I was just trying to comfort you. It hurts so much? Don't bite. Zun Zun's hand was bitten off by her. What a rude, ungrateful reply. Next, Yunyun, damn. I've grown again. I'm definitely going to lose. As expected. Today I lost to Megumin again. After receiving the results, which showed a larger size than before, Yunyun was equally disappointed. The girl, even more annoyed by Versailles' declaration, gave her a pectoralis major, surpassed only by a very skillful one. It hurts. Yunyun clutched her chest in pain and stepped back, her face full of grievance. Why? I lost the game, my lunchbox was stolen, and why did Megumin hit me? You should ask your damn breasts, the girl grumbled. Silly, Megumin. Don't you know that the more you hit the thing, the more it swells, and the difference becomes more and more obvious? Then the girls in the class finished measuring themselves, leaving only Zun Zun. He curled his lips and said, Teacher, I'm a boy, should a teacher take the measurements? No problem. I'll take the boys' measurements too. After all, I'm the only health teacher in this school. The teacher smiled. I hadn't realized this pretty and kind teacher knew so much. Come on, don't be nervous, it'll soon be over. Wait. Teacher, didn't you just say that growth assessments use measurement magic? Why are you carrying a small ruler? And I remember we didn't measure anything, right? Teacher, quick. Let me see. His kind smile remained as always, but the dangerous red light in his eyes was chilling. Finally, after switching out 3 rulers of different lengths, the longest of which was 18 centimeters, the teacher finally let him go with a satisfied look. Chapter 38, The Crimson Demon's Battle Plan. It's no secret that noble mages are fragile. The Crimson Demons know this very well. Therefore, in addition to Chinese and magic classes, physical education, which allows for physical exercise, is one of the subjects that the Crimson Demons value. However, the emphasis is slightly different. The place euphemistically called our school's playground is actually just a plaza in front of the school where herbs have been burned with fire magic. Zun Zun and others attend classes here. For us Crimson Demons, language and writing are very important. Do you know why? Megumin, answer this question. The teacher seemed to be testing her. Because the speed of chanting and the accuracy of pronunciation will affect the control of magic. 3 points. Not at all. 3 points. Megumin seemed frustrated at only getting 3 points and staggered back to her seat. Yunyun, tell me the correct answer. Yes. Some sealed magic from ancient times uses ancient characters. When interpreting magic such as forbidden spells, familiarity with the characters and vocabulary is indispensable. 30 points. It's fine when it comes to vocabulary related to forbidden spells, sealed magic, etc., but it's completely useless for anything else. 30 points? Only 30 points. Yunyun sat back down in her seat, dejected. The teacher seemed very disappointed with the two of them. She sighed deeply and said, Alice, are you really the top students in the class? Zun Zun, you are the top student in the class. Tell me what you understand. To avoid strange names, you can also say something profound, such as, time is running out and things are getting out of hand. Full marks. The teacher nodded in satisfaction. That's right, the name of our Crimson Demon clan is very important. I also have the title of being one of the best in the Crimson Demon clan, and of course, when you graduate, you must also think about your own name. Hearing what he said, Megumin and Yunyun's expressions twitched. Actually, they were both right. Whether it was controlling magic or interpreting forbidden spells and sealed magic, language was paramount. But, like in a certain coffee shop, you knew that the correct answer wasn't this one, but to understand the psychology of the public, you had to choose another option. Zun Zun did too. As expected of the most powerful magician of the Crimson Demon clan in 100 years, he thinks the same as me. He nodded in satisfaction. Good. Now, let's begin physical education. Or rather, combat training. For us Crimson Demons, what is the most important thing in battle? The teacher looked at the dejected Megumin and Yunyun, ready to give them another chance. Yunyun, answer, me. Well, the most important thing in battle is composure. I think it's the ability to remain calm in the face of any situation. 5 points. Next, Megumin, only 5, Yunyun muttered like Xianglan Sao, unable to accept the few points she had gotten. What is the most important thing in a battle? For Megumin, this question only had one answer from the start, destructive power. The power to destroy everything. I think power is the most important thing. 50 points. Power is necessary. Without enough destructive power, it can't be considered a battle against the Crimson Demon. But that's not the correct answer, it only gets you 50 points. The teacher didn't entirely agree with this answer. I only got 50 points. I only got 5. Looking at the dejected Megumin and Yunyun, the teacher glared at them with a look that said it was outrageous for two of the highest-ranking people to give such an answer, and then spat on the ground. Humiliation. The two of them glared at him indignantly, but the hateful professor ignored them, pointing at a classmate and saying indifferently, "You're really good at it. You should know. Yes, the eye patch covering your left eye suits you so well, you should know what's most important in a battle. It's beauty." Full marks. Very good, you're really good at it. Yes, it's beauty. Our Crimson Demon clan's start in battle must be magnificent enough. Although I really want to say this, but Zun Zun, it seems you have something to say. The professor was very satisfied with Yuga Wei's answer, but seeing Zun Zun's disdainful expression, he decided to listen to his answer. It's recognition. What, a cool appearance? Making the battle look extravagant? No, that's just a side effect. Actual combat isn't something so superficial. It's about defeating the strongest opponent with an absolute difference in strength, and then having your opponent sincerely say, "I'm so sorry I couldn't let Master Zun use his full strength," words that even your opponent acknowledges. Only then can it be called a true battle of the Crimson Demon clan. 1 billion points. The teacher's eyes lit up with excitement, looking at Master Zun as if you were a treasure. I didn't expect you to have such a profound understanding. This is an area that even I haven't tackled. In the entire school, only the headmaster can handle it with such ease. Master Zun, you will undoubtedly become the strongest of the Crimson Demon clan. Come see me after class to get skill point potions. The school is exceedingly generous to outstanding students, and the act of giving them money is also cause for joy. Ahem, the teacher coughed and said, Zun Zun's words are too advanced for you right now. It's not something you can go into too deep, so you don't need to study them for now. Fine, then find a partner, form pairs, and work together to come up with cool inscription phrases and practice various poses. Yunyun shuddered upon hearing his words. Uncomfortable around others, Yunyun shrank back timidly, looking helpless. Hey, are you so daring as to team up with someone else right now? Never mind. Zun Zun sighed helplessly. But just as he was about to team up with Yunyun, someone walked over. Zun Zun, do you have a partner? If not, would you like to team up with me? Fine, let's team up. Zun Zun was about to refuse, but seeing Megumin approach Yunyun, he changed his mind and agreed. His gaze remained fixed on the two of them. Megumin was a genuine Crimson Demon, and thanks to the influence of her father, Piao Saburo, and mother, Wei Wei, she quickly mastered the poses, earning the master's praise. Yunyun, the Crimson Demon clan's only oddity, a normal person, was unprepared. Timidly, She covered her face, her body frozen. Why are you so shy? Don't the three of us team up then? Zun Zun looked anxious. Yugu said, why, you seem more concerned about that side. From her tone, it was clear that she wasn't angry, but ignoring a girl wasn't a good idea. However, Zun Zun didn't bother admitting his mistake, replying with the usual discretion of the Crimson Demon clan. Did you say something? Do you have any objections to my cool pose? A cool pose? Huh, I advise you not to show off so much, it makes you look weak. What? Yugu's pupils shrank and then dilated, and he couldn't help but praise her. I was clearly putting on an extravagant pose to liven up the atmosphere, but it was mistaken for a fake fear, and it ended up being a game of offense and defense. As expected of the number one Zun Zun, no, it's not like that. The little girl, who kept glancing at the other girl, pursed her lips at Yugu Wei's praise. Why don't you just call me the first Crimson Demon Development Master and the first Crimson Demon Bragging Master, okay? In that case, I'll give you a more impressive entrance. As if giving up, Yugu Wei began to warm up in front of Zun Zun, stretching his neck and jumping on the spot. Megumin's eyes blushed at the sight of something jumping around. This guy's an enemy. Chapter 39, Potions and Magical Control. Everyone, return to your seats. The list begins. The hooded professor hurried into the classroom, casually reciting the lines he had repeated countless times. But seeing the man hanging from the ceiling, even this veteran Crimson Demon froze. Zun Zun, what are you doing, Master? I'm practicing. As everyone knows, magic not only requires specific spells and memorized incantations, but also a rapid flow of magical energy. I'm training this flow. I've also discovered that by concentrating magical energy beneath our feet, we can absorb it into any terrain, allowing us to cast magic at will in any situation. And most importantly, climbing up a cliff in the middle of a battle is cool. Okay, I'll allow it, regardless of whether the statement made sense, as long as it had something to do with being cool. The professor gave it the green light. And he wasn't wrong, it helped train the flow of magical energy. But now it's time for magic item making class. Hurry up, okay? Zun Zun did a 360-degree somersault in the air and landed on his tiptoes with his arms outstretched, enjoying the enthusiastic applause of his classmates. The first class of the day was magic item making. More precisely, potions and magic item making. It was Zun Zun's favorite subject, without a doubt. It taught him how to brew his own potions, which required skill points. Unfortunately, the recipe was advanced, so Zun Zun, who was just starting out in potions, couldn't learn it yet. The laboratory where the classes were held was located underground in the school. It wasn't because it involved dangerous chemicals or explosives, but because the very idea of wizards conjured up images of strange subterranean experiments. Although the students could sit anywhere in the lab, Zun Zun always sat in the front row. The teacher scratched his head as he stepped onto the podium and said, "Now, let's begin the magic item concoction class." Concocting potions and magic items is the most important source of income for us mages. It certainly doesn't hurt to learn first. He picked up a bottle filled with a light green liquid. It was a health-restoring potion. Although we've made it several times, the basics are the most important. This class will focus on concocting a simple health-restoring potion. Zun Zun, you will distribute the tools and ingredients, okay? As he distributed the tools and ingredients, the teacher continued to explain the contents and precautions of the class. Although the process was simple, the potions were quite interesting. You can freely add your own ingredients to the fixed base, and if you know how to create them, the result will be very different. Changing the proportions of the ingredients will also modify the potion's effects, and you can even invent your own recipe. Zun Zun carefully added the ingredients to the container one by one. Just as he was considering adding datura roots to create a different effect, boom! An explosion echoed in his ears, and his hands began to shake uncontrollably. Luckily, he had strong control over his magic power, allowing him to stabilize the half-finished potion and return it to its place. He turned and looked behind him. "Megumin, you've exploded again." What caught his attention was the black smoke spurting out of the test tube the girl was holding, smearing her little face blurrily. It was the effect of possessing immense magic power but insufficient control. Take Piao Sanlang, for example. His magic power was too strong, and he wasn't good at controlling it, so the magic tools he created were particularly strange. His daughter Megumin was the same. Whether she was brewing potions or channeling magic power into her clothes, she always exploded. She reminded Zun Zun of a certain little girl who always exploded no matter what magic she used. Only that mage had pink hair. Ah, I understand now. It must be that the potion's level is too low. I can't unleash my full power. Master, please give me a more difficult one. The girl chose to evade reality. No, it's not that higher level potions require more magic power. On the contrary, higher level potions require more stable magic power. Naturally, the teacher rejected her request. Unwilling to give up, the girl, seeing the mess on the laboratory table, suddenly reacted. I can't believe it. I'm sure I can do it. Let me show you my potion skills. I can kill any enemy with a single blow. Ha. Wait. You're making a simple health restoring potion, something beneficial, not poison. What do you think you're going to do with a single blow? Fearfully, Yunyun tried to stop her. But how could Yunyun stop this stubborn little girl? Soon, Megumin continued adding ingredients to the test tube, and under Zun Zun's watchful eye, tiny sparks of fire gradually erupted. He exclaimed in a low voice, "Ah! Megumin's test tube is sparking, and they're flying toward me. Megumin, what are you doing? Hey! The fire's coming toward me too. It's getting bigger and bigger." Teacher, Dong Donggu shouted and ran to find the teacher. Flood creation. Without a word, the teacher waved his hand and unleashed a high-level magic, extinguishing the raging fire like a flood, while also engulfing the entire classroom. The scene was a mess. Not only were the half-finished potions and prepared ingredients completely destroyed, but the girls were also soaked by the flood waters. My potion, I finally made it, even though I'm the worst at this, what a pain. I'm soaked. The girls' complaints followed one after another. Zun Zun was heartbroken over the ruined potion. Who knows how much it would fetch if it were sold outside. However, the instigator of the commotion concealed his presence and attempted to slip away. Megumin, where are you going? He gently stopped her. Dong Donggu blocked her way, and Megan C and Sticky Curly also surrounded her, their eyes filled with resentment. The girl gulped, her mouth slightly dry, as she asked, "What's wrong? Don't you have any say in this situation?" Wait a minute, I seem to have a mistake. First, it was the teacher who performed the magic, not me. Second, I followed the potion's instructions to the letter, so it's the recipe's fault, not mine. Megumin said confidently, and since it was the truth, the others didn't know whether to blame her. But when the girl walked out of the lab with her head held high, everyone realized their foolishness. Wait a minute, Megumin, the girls chased after her. When the teacher cleaned up the mess in the lab and returned to the classroom, his expression was once again one of astonishment. Apart from Megumin, whose magic was too strong to control, and Yunyun, who was too embarrassed to join them and remained seated, the remaining 10 students, all in their gym uniforms, were hanging upside down from the ceiling. What are you doing, teacher? In order to prevent a repeat of what happened just now, we are practicing magic control. The teacher he placed his hand on his forehead in great pain and then said, except for Megumin and Yunyun, the others will be punished until. Stand and listen to the lecture. How could it be? X10A wailing sound came from the classroom. Chapter 40 Field Combat Training. In addition to potions, skill points can be obtained through experience gained from defeating monsters or consuming rare ingredients, which can then be used to level up and accumulate skill points. This is also included in the Crimson Demon Clan's curriculum. Otherwise, students who don't place in the top 3 in other tests will never be able to master advanced magic. Today's class is a field practice, the teacher announced from the podium. In the relatively safe surroundings of the village, we'll be using the leveling method passed down through generations by our Crimson Demon Clan, called farming, to raise all of your levels. So, see you in the forest later. And remember to split into 4 teams of 3, that's all. After taking roll call and informing the students about the day's program, the teacher left to prepare the teaching materials. Then, the classroom erupted in an uproar. While the students were looking for friends to team up with, only Yunyun remained in her seat, glancing sideways at Zun Zun and Megumin. The meaning was obvious. Zun Zun wasn't very keen to team up with her. It wasn't because he disliked her, but because if she continued like this, the shy Yunyun would never make any new friends, and he didn't want to see it. Just then, Yu Guwei arrived and invited Zun Zun to team up, and Zun Zun agreed without hesitation. Megumin was interested in teaming up with her, but just as she was about to ask, Ruan Huhu and Dong Donggu stepped forward. Hey, Yunyun, come team up with us, Yeah, you're always alone, right? We'll let you join. Normally, the two of them would team up with Yuguwei, but now that Yuguwei was teaming up with Zun Zun, they took the initiative and invited Yunyun. Oh, but Yunyun, after being invited, seemed unsure, and looked at her suspiciously. Come on, team up with us. Yunyun, we're classmates, right? Yes, aren't we friends? Friends. Okay, let's team up. Prompted by the keywords, Yunyun agreed to join them without hesitation. How naive. It seems that this girl will continue to be manipulated by bad men in the future. Megumin watched her leave. Just then, Zun Zun and Yugu approached her, their tongues quivering as they uttered in unison, "And slept with T and dumped R." The girl turned her head sharply, looking at them in displeasure. Upon reaching the forest, the teacher waved his cloak and announced, "Is everyone here? Those who have weapons, use them. Those who don't, use this to deal the finishing blow to the monster." He pointed at the items on the ground. Should we call this pile of things weapons? Although they were weapons of all kinds, they were all too large. There were broadswords longer than Zun Zun was tall, axes with blades larger than the girl's body, and meteor hammers so enormous that not even an ogre could wield them. Master, it seems none of these weapons are beyond our reach. The secret lies in channeling the magic within us into every corner of our bodies. This allows us crimson demons to temporarily grow stronger. Haven't you had training in magic control before? Just concentrate, and you'll be able to control this power naturally. The master raised the sword without flinching. It looked quite realistic. Yu Gao also stepped forward, crouched on the ground, and shouted, "My magic, flow through my blood and strengthen my limbs." Then, with one hand, she raised the broadsword, which was longer than her. Oh. Xn's classmates applauded. Yunyun couldn't help but complain, "It's impressive, yes, but was that line really necessary?" There was nothing she could do. That was the Crimson Demon Clan. Seeing this, the other students gathered around the weapons one by one, picking up the ones on the ground. The girl also grabbed the enormous axe. Her hesitant steps prevented her from lifting the handle. Meanwhile, Yunyun picked up a meteor hammer. "Master, this is all empty talk, just a layer of metal over the surface of wood. Each weapon is incredibly light." Yunyun, 5 points off. Wait, Master." As Yunyun wept, Megumin decisively dropped the axe and picked up the smaller wooden sword. Seeing that Zun Zun didn't move, the master asked curiously, "Zun Zun, what are you doing? Aren't you going to pick up the sword?" "Oh, a sword isn't that cumbersome. Even without it, I can annihilate the enemy." Zun Zun acted disdainfully. He wasn't pretentious, he sincerely despised weapons. He had lost his personal sword while practicing swordsmanship with his sister, Talao, and since then, he had developed a strong aversion to losable weapons. Although it was an unreasonable excuse, the teacher appreciated it and didn't dock him points. They arrived at the thick forest that extended beyond the village. Listen carefully. This is the forest that connects to the village. Although we've hunted all the powerful monsters in the area, you still can't defeat the weaker ones. So, to be safe, I'll use magic to immobilize all of you. You'll be responsible for killing the immobilized monsters. This was the so-called leveling method passed down through generations by the Crimson Demons, known as nurturing. Feeding experience packs, it shouldn't be a problem, but if anything happens, just shout. "Now, disperse," the teacher said cheerfully, then ran off aimlessly. The students scattered. Then, as the teacher chanted a spell, a chill emanated from deep within the forest. As they drew closer, they discovered a lizard, taller than Megumin, with its limbs frozen solid. Even immobilized, it managed to survive. They were using powerful, high-level magic, but executed masterfully. After all, she was a magic teacher in the Crimson Demon Village. Her mastery of magic was truly impressive, and her strength, undeniable. "May I go first?" Yu Gaohu asked. Zun Zun and Megumin didn't object. She raised her seemingly ostentatious longsword and shouted, "Your life, fuel my strength." The sword descended upon the lizard's head. The lizard, its head frozen from head to toe, snorted softly before lowering its head and remaining motionless. Yu Gaohu looked at her adventurer card and nodded in satisfaction. She seemed to have advanced a level. Just as the three of them were about to find their next target, a group of people gathered in the distance around a large rabbit, also frozen, but not dead. They were arguing about something. Standing in front of the horned rabbit was Yunyun, holding her dagger, reluctant to attack. Apparently, the rabbit's sad look and incessant chirping, as if begging for mercy, had made her unable to kill it, and she froze. Yunyun, hurry up, yes, aren't you third in the class? Let's see what you're made of, Soft and Dong Donggu encouraged her. Though, apparently, in Zun Zun's opinion, they simply couldn't bear to touch the soft, adorable rabbit. Then just touch it and see, the protective Megumin appeared at some point. Hugged Dong Donggu from behind, squeezed his hands with both hands, and then, go ahead, Dong Donggu. Do it. Kill that poor, bright-eyed rabbit and increase your meager experience points. No. Wait. Megumin. Please forgive me, why are you still being polite? Let this pure living sacrifice become your strength. Come on, wait, stop. If you push any further, the sword will pierce through you. Dong Donggu was so anxious she was about to cry. Seeing this, Ruan Hu rushed over to help. Just as the three of them were arguing. Guys, there seems to be a dangerous guy out there, Gu pointed towards the forest. Hearing this, everyone looked over. It was a humanoid demon with sharp claws on both hands, its body covered in black fur, and bat-like wings on its back. It had a reptilian face with a bird's beak, and its eyes were scanning all around. This guy seemed very strong, and most importantly, he wasn't frozen. Suddenly, he turned his gaze. Hey. Chapter 41, There is no rival ahead of us. Oh no, Master, Soft and Dong Donggu cried, running at full speed. Yao Gao glanced back effortlessly as he fled, saying, Megumin, do you know that creature? It seems to be coming straight for you. How could I know that thing? It must be a scout sent by the Demon King, fearing my hidden power. Seriously, why is it chasing me? Megumin was speechless. It's your fault, Megumin, for your bad behavior. Last time I saw you running into Eris Church, stealing offerings from the altar, Yunyun's accusation left everyone speechless. Megumin was also baffled. The flying monster didn't even look at anyone else and, for some reason, was chasing after her. The girl began to fear that God would truly punish her. Suddenly, she felt something moving on her back. Turning her head, she saw a black kitten grabbing her back to keep her from falling. Got it, the little girl plucked the kitten from its back and held it up for the monster to see. I have no choice, I'll give you this little ball of fur. What do you think? It looks tastier than mine. Even my sister wants to eat it, as expected, Megumin. I didn't even think about it, it's too much? Because you always do things like this, you get chased by monsters. Seeing the adorable little animal being sacrificed, Yunyun felt a surge of pity. The little girl didn't care, its life was its priority. Unexpectedly, it wouldn't have picked up the black kitten. Seeing it, the demon became even more excited and attacked them with its enormous beak. Hey, X2. Even Yao Gao who was scared. Just when the three of them thought they were about to be devoured, a figure stepped in their way. Stop, her slender, powerful hand gripped the demon's beak, immobilizing it. Seeing the approaching figure, the three women were filled with excitement. Zun Zun, X2 really? Where the hell have you gone? The girl started to blame him. Zun Zun had just gone to deal with another demon, and they believed there was only this one, but who would have thought another one would appear just as he left? Luckily, he arrived just in time. The demon, its beak pressed against Zun Zun's, was darting glances back and forth. It thrust forward, but couldn't move an inch, and tried to fly backward to free itself, but couldn't. Whether up or down, even without flapping its wings, it remained immobilized in the air. I am the strongest, and I hold all victory in my hands. Whether human or demon, Zun Zun tilted his head, more demonic than the demon itself, its crimson eyes fixed on him. Sweat trickled down his body. I will defeat all enemies and crush anyone who stands in my way. Like a declaration, the hand holding the enormous pickaxe slammed into the ground, slamming the demon head first into the earth. Then, with a snap, the demon's fragile neck couldn't bear the pressure of its enormous body and broke easily, tilting down. Zun Zun snorted in disdain. Taking out his adventure card, he noticed that he had risen 2 levels, and a faint smile curved his lips. As expected of number 1, you are incredibly strong, said Yu Wei, holding his forehead with his hand. She had been a little boastful before, but this time, she was sincere. Yunyun sighed, you didn't even use magic. As expected, Zun Zun is a boy. He is incredibly strong. No, not even boys have Zun Zun's strength, at least not the ones I know, said Yu Wei. Huh? Is that so? Yunyun's only contact with the opposite sex, besides her father, was Zun Zun, so she didn't understand. The little lolly Megumin also breathed a sigh of relief. She had been the main target before. She didn't know the reason, but it was a fact, and so was that Zun Zun had saved her. So she thanked him heartily. Although the thanks were so many, they didn't sound sincere at all. Zun Zun looked at them and said, "Alright, let's go back to the village. The village is now invaded by these demons, and we have to go back and help. Are you sure you want to help, not just cause trouble?" Yunyun always said things out of place. But she was right. Without magical abilities, they could only watch from the sidelines. But she had also forgotten that the Crimson Demon's strength was as unfathomable as their thinking. Going back was just a show. Someone with enough knowledge would be able to understand Zun Zun's thinking. It's true that we are weak, but the Crimson Demon village is our homeland after all. How can we abandon it so easily? Even if it means death, I will live and die with the Crimson Demon village. He seemed particularly skilled in such situations. Don't worry, just follow me steadfastly. Zun Zun raised his head slightly, looked at the students who were gradually approaching, and said, "There is no enemy in front of us." On the way back to the village, Yunyun was still harping on about Megumin's bad behavior and how she had provoked the demons. Although Megumin was annoyed, she couldn't find a reason to refute her and couldn't help but tightly hug the black kitten. Yaguhu and the others, intrigued by the kitten, quickly asked where it came from. Megumin explained that her sister had found it yesterday. No, it was her sealed half. The classmates exclaimed at this brilliant scenery. Suddenly, a large pit appeared before them. It was about 2 meters wide, and its depth was unknown. Although small, it could be seen in the middle of the path. The group approached and found a person in the well, which was just over 2 meters deep. Green broccoli, Megumin asked in surprise. The person in the well also looked familiar to Zun Zun. He was the older brother of the girl's neighbor, the son of one of the Crimson Demon clan's most important shoe shops. Incidentally, since there was only one shoe shop in Crimson Demon Village, it was very unusual. "Ah, I'm Megumin. Hey, trapped." "No, it's Zun Zun." A smile lit up his face when he saw Zun Zun, but when he realized it wasn't the person he had been thinking of, he was visibly disappointed. "Hey, I'm going to beat you up. Oh, by the way, can you get me out of here?" "Of course you can. And what are you doing in the depths of the mountains and forests?" "And in a well, trapped." He smiled indulgently. "How greasy." Zun Zun shuddered. "Trapped is Zun Zun's sister, right? And she's one of the most beautiful women in the Crimson Demon clan. Although I think Zun Zun is prettier than her." The compliment was a little harsh. "No. Trapped is the most beautiful," Green Coconut cried. "That's right, I dug this trap out of love. Trapped comes to this forest alone every day to practice. She's beautiful, tender, and powerful. It's simply unfair. And besides, she likes to use lightning magic, but that kind of magic causes one's vision to suddenly turn white, making it difficult to see clearly. In other words, it's only natural that she wouldn't notice the trap dug in the ground and accidentally fall into it. She can't use teleportation yet, so she must be worried about not being able to get out. That's when I heroically appeared and rescued her. I tried so hard to dig this pit just the right depth. Look, it's within reach, right? How disgusting." Even if he was very skilled, it was rare for him to change his expression when faced with something like that. And Zun Zun. He lifted a huge rock, taller than him, and pretended to throw it into the pit. Wait. Zun Zun, really, he may be a scoundrel, a piece of trash, a piece of kitchen waste, but he doesn't deserve to be killed. Really not. The faces of Ruanhuhu, Dongdongu, and Yunyun suddenly changed in fear. They tried to stop the enraged Zun Zun, but they couldn't do it alone. With a loud crash, the rock fell. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42. What are you protecting? Is it really okay to leave him alone? Yunyun turned around worriedly, looking at the deep pit crushed by the rock. From inside, cries for help could be heard from time to time. "Don't bother with that trash, not destroying it inhumanly is already very merciful." The girls supported Zun Zun this time. Yao who patted her shoulder and said, "Don't worry. He just can't bear to leave this pit. If he calms down, He'll find another way. She was right. Green coconuts might be useless, but at least he was a great mage. With advanced magical skills, it was impossible for him to fall into a simple trap. Similarly, Sister Talao, who graduated first in the school, wouldn't fall into such a simple trap. Her efforts were completely useless. Love alone can blind people. Zun Zun killed several demons along the way and his level increased significantly. By the time they reached a cliff far from the village was already engulfed in flames and black smoke everywhere. Houses and fields were completely destroyed. But it was none other than the crimson demons themselves who were destroying everything. Saber light, saber, saber. In the end, the master even said, with mock melancholy, our beautiful village, steeped in history, our final fantasy hailed as the crown jewel of dragons, our utopia, how can it be so desolate? What a joke. This is all your fault. What on earth are you protecting? Sticky Curls wept bitterly, clutching at his family sign. When the cat Gerald's head came off, he cried even more inconsolably. Damn evil god, how dare you trample on our simple, peaceful lives, it's all the master's fault, Yunyun said, untimely and unseemly. Because of the ravages of the evil beast, the sky has turned red, the earth has been shattered, and the rivers have been corrupted. But the Crimson Demon clan's bloodline will not be annihilated here. This is a trial imposed upon us by the heaven. The headmaster gazed up at the night sky, leaving behind a heartfelt warning amidst a sea of flames. The Crimson Demon clan watched with immense enthusiasm. And then, the next day, the destroyed Crimson Demon village was restored to its former glory. Wow! I didn't expect a village to be restored in a single day. Amazing, Megumin, but the headmaster and the others got a good slap in the face from the parents' committee for yesterday's ruckus. Megumin, of course they did. My mother also complains about all-night repairs. Megumin, is that the problem? Megumin, after all, lack of sleep is more damaging to the skin than gargoyles. Megumin, the Megumin they were talking about wasn't the little girl, but the little black cat. Since the teacher didn't allow pets in class, Megumin said that the cat was her half and would go berserk and destroy the world if she wasn't around, and the teacher happily agreed. They were studying. According to the teacher, the monsters they encountered yesterday were caused by the imminent release of the seal on the tomb of the heretic god, which had attracted so many gargoyles. However, the students suspected that the petrification magic of the village adults had failed, and they were only trying to save face. To make it more believable, the headmistress organized the village adults to search for the sealed fragments, and their teacher also accompanied them. Hey, could Megumin be the god evil? How could Megumin be an evil god if she's so cute? Hey, hearing this baseless rumor, the girl couldn't contain herself any longer. She slammed the table and stood up, staring at Ruan Hu. She said I was cute. Ruan Hu pointed at the small black cat on the table. Wait a minute, I don't think the word cute suits me, but are you saying I'm not cute? After criticizing Megumin, she couldn't help but complain. Why do you call that ball black for Megumin? Because she's your familiar, part of your soul. And she doesn't have a name, so of course we call her Megumin. She waited for the person to respond naturally. Come on, change your words right now. The girl, who had always been known at school for being calm, collected, and a genius, couldn't stand being called that. What's wrong with you? Hasn't only your cuteness, but also your intelligence and rationality been transferred to your soul fragment? How annoying! Megumin, Ruan Hu and Dong Donggu attacked her. The vein on the girl's forehead bulged. Furious, she overturned the table, prompting screams and shrieks from the surrounding students. Megumin, stop it! Megumin, stop it! After a long uproar, Megumin finally calmed down. Holding the black kitten in her hands, she shouted to the gathered classmates, enough. Give it a name. Clearly, the girl didn't want to be insulted for such a reason. Yunyun picked up the black kitten and said, even if you say that, we are used to calling it Megumin. Look, he's finally coming over and letting me hold him. At first, everyone except Yunyun petted him. But after Yunyun fed him repeatedly, showing him who the rich lady was, he immediately changed his rebellious attitude and openly showed himself to Yunyun. Why don't you change your name, Megumin? Then, how about a name like Little Black, since it's a black cat? Bah, Megumin snapped. Not only her, but the other students as well had displeased expressions on their faces. However, Megumin thought it over and decided to call it that for the time being. She would give it a formal name after she became a qualified great mage. This made Zun Zun swallow her chasma. She really wanted to call that black cat Kazuma. It would be fun when she met Kazuma. Note, the tone is the same, or perhaps it could also use some sandwich sauce? While they were talking, the bell rang. Since the teacher also had to go monster hunting, there would be no class that afternoon, and they should go home together before the heretic god's tomb was sealed. Megumin, today too. Yunyun looked at Megumin several times, as if she wanted to say something but stopped herself. If you want to invite her over, why don't you just say so? They've known each other for several years, right? Yunyun looked at Megumin several times, as if she wanted to say something but stopped herself. If you want to invite her over, why don't you just say so? They've known each other for several years, right? Yun, come home with us, Ruanhu suddenly interrupted, speaking quickly. I have something to tell you. And I want to apologize for leaving you alone in such a hurry. Huh? Okay, Yunyun, who couldn't refuse. Then, see you tomorrow, Megumin, and Zun Zun, with a hint of unease and loss on her face, Yunyun followed after them. It was good for Yunyun, a loner by nature, to have made friends, but Megumin felt a little. Then she felt someone behind her. Zun Zun and Yaogao who stood together, their mouths covered and tongues sticking out. As they said in unison, and slept with T and took him, X2 if you keep talking, you'd ammo and X, you'll suffer, the irritable girl exclaimed. Chapter 43 The boy Zun Zun likes. Since they still had to patrol and suppress the demons in the Forbidden Zone, the students were studying in the library today. Suddenly, I realized that the teachers in Crimson Demon Village weren't very trustworthy either. Zun Zun flipped through a book titled On the Possibility of Visitors from Another World. It said that this world is frequently visited by people claiming to be from another world. They all have black hair and possess powerful abilities or devices. The only difference is that they lack the common sense of this world, which often causes a huge stir and they are ridiculed. It's entirely true. Things like sora growing in fields, watermelons growing in water, and potatoes that dance and vibrate. These agricultural systems have bugs that simply don't exist in the normal world. No, since they're functioning perfectly, perhaps they aren't bugs at all? Meanwhile, this group of people claims to be heroes sent by the goddess, whose main mission is to gather powerful allies and defeat the Demon King. Despite this, most of them do nothing, and even frequently plague the world. How true, brother, how true. Take, for example, Old Man Deng, the man who created the Crimson Demon Clan. He's completely incompetent. It's one thing to use the Empire's funds to build video game consoles for his own selfish desires, but he also tinkered with the Magus Killer and the Railgun, and even ended up creating the Mobile Fortress Destroyer, a natural disaster that has roamed the continent for hundreds of years. Honestly, Aqua should have brainwashed this old man and forced him to regret coming to this other world. Speaking of which, the girls beside him have been chattering away nonstop for a while now. Zun Zun didn't show it, but he was secretly listening attentively. Then, I think that person must be interested in me. But what do I do now? You know, we swore to each other in a past life that we would be together in this reincarnation, right? Wouldn't it be a fling, or something? Dongdongu looked confused. This guy doesn't have a lover from a past life? You're not a reincarnated person sent by a stupid goddess. But Ruanhu said, what's the difference? The past is the past, and the present is the present. My soulmate will be, he's definitely a handsome man locked away deep in hell, so I have to learn magic and save him. Then why don't you go learn magic instead of gossiping? Stop it. What's with this unbearable talk? It seems like you've been influenced by broccoli, and you've only been talking about boring love topics lately. But girls love that kind of talk. Yunyun nodded with a nervous smile. I see. You two are amazing. This was too deep for her. They were sitting at a table studying, and had been chatting for a while about mysterious love affairs, seemingly confusing imaginary lovers with reality. Precocious, not really. After all, girls in the other world are considered adults at 14, and now that they're 12 and a half, they're almost there, and Zun Zun has seen those who are even more powerful than them. And Yunyun? What kind of person is Yunyun? No, I mean a lover from your past life. What kind of person is that? Dongdongu didn't ignore Yunyun, and they were also curious about her relationship standards. Yunyun replied without hesitation, I like quiet, polite men who listen attentively when I tell them what happened today. Too boring, very boring. Dongdongu and Ruanhu exchanged a predictably subtle expression. Megumin added, it can't be helped. He's a freak, Yunyun. By the way, I was probably a god of destruction in my past life, so I didn't have a lover. She seemed reluctant to reveal her standards in relationships, so she used the god of destruction trick to dodge further questions. Weirdo? Am I really a freak? Yunyun didn't understand. She had normal standards in relationships, but in the eyes of the Crimson Demons, she seemed like a freak. It was a little hard to accept. Forget it, she gently approached the only boy present and asked, Zun Zun, what kind of boy do you like? I'll give you another chance to repeat that. Oh, sorry. I meant what your lover was like in your past life. She seemed to have forgotten that Zun Zun was a boy, but after apologizing, she continued asking questions. Actually, I also have a boy I like. Huh? Really? Hearing Zun Zun say this, several girls present became a little excited. Boys and boys? How exciting. Yes, Zun Zun took out a pen and wrote and drew in his textbook. Because of his great physical talent, he was also an expert in calligraphy and painting. He used to draw self-portraits for his sister, so that he could perfectly reproduce the boy he liked in his mind. I like a peerless hero wearing a tight headband, golden armor, and stepping on a rainbow cloud. He is also optimistic, brave, fearless, and willing to fight. It's not so much that I like him as it is that I admire him. I long to be like him. As he spoke, Zun Zun drew the image of the boy he was talking about in a few strokes. Soft and Dong Dong were stunned by the image and couldn't help but blurt out, a monkey, X4 by the way, it probably has no gender, after all, it grew from a stone. Oh, the advanced version of XP left Soft, still in the Middle Ages, speechless. Her fantasy lovers, no, her past life lovers were at least human, but Zun Zun's was a monkey. Although the armor and club looked human, it was still an orc, nothing like a human. What's the difference between this and telling others that you like a stubborn orc? Unbelievable. Is this the first place winner? She didn't understand their reasoning at all. What are you talking about? Perhaps the loud voice had attracted Yu Guwei, so she walked over to the others and asked why. Hearing that Zun Zun liked monkeys, the mature girl's expression softened. Although she could always flatter someone in any situation, she didn't know what to say at that moment. By the way, Yu Guwei, do you want to be a writer in the future? Yes. I'm Yu Guwei, and I will be one of the most famous writers in the Crimson Demon Clan. He lifted his eye patch and made an odd gesture. The Crimson Demon Clan never missed a chance to boast, and Yu Guwei was no exception. Well, Zun Zun placed his hands on his chin and, after a moment of thought, said, how about we collaborate? Collaborate? Yes, I have a story I'd like you to write. You probably don't have any ideas for new works yet, so this will broaden your horizons. Of course, I'm not sure whether it will benefit or harm you, and I don't know how big the impact of this book will be. It might even destroy the world, Doesn't that make it impossible for you to refuse? Zun Zun's exaggerated words piqued her interest. Okay, I agree. And what is the name of the work? Journey to the West, just this chapter. No plagiarism, just for my own amusement. After all, my Monkey King will be born from the stone on August 20th. Chapter 44, First Encounter with a Poor Lich Lady. After school. Since the forbidden area was temporarily off limits, Zun Zun, Megumin, and Yunyun went to the village's wishing pond to play in the water, no, to practice. Since he had already mastered stepping on trees and hanging from the ceiling, he now planned a more challenging practice. Staying afloat. More precisely, stepping on anything with movement. Zun Zun imagined not only water, but also lava, seas of fire, swamps, and even spiraling upward to the sky with his left foot. But staying afloat was much harder than imagined. Hanging upside down from the ceiling, he only needed to channel his body's magic power following a fixed trajectory and ratio. But staying afloat required constant attention to the flow of the water to adjust the magic power, which was quite a struggle for Zun Zun. Simply standing on the water was difficult enough, and the thought of engaging in intense combat on the surface was even more unrealistic. Zun Zun, this is very difficult. Yunyun choked several times as he dove into the pool. Standing on the surface, Zun Zun helped her to her feet, saying, of course, Yunyun, you haven't even gone through the previous stages of training. Without a solid foundation, it's naturally difficult. Yunyun felt annoyed at being suspended upside down from the ceiling, but expressed genuine interest in staying afloat. However, without a solid foundation, learning required considerable effort. Damn, my clothes are soaked. Yunyun tugged at her soaked uniform. Because she hadn't prepared, her shirt stuck to her body. As the second most developed of the new generation of crimson demons, it made the girl jealous. Tisk, she said, not hiding her astonishment. Incidentally, the girl had completely given up on controlling her magic. In her words, explosive magic was meant to be explosive. If it was too docile, how could it be called explosive magic? Zun Zun understood her inability to control it. If I had told him that controlling his magic would increase his power, he would have jumped at the chance to learn. Zun Zun looked puzzled at the little girl sitting by the pond, fishing with a rod in her hand. By the way, Megumin, what are you doing? As you can see, I'm fishing for bananas. My little sister wanted fruit, so I thought I'd catch her some. No, how strange. Are bananas good for fishing? Megumin, how can you fish here? Yunyun suddenly asked. Right, how can you fish for bananas in water? Yunyun, give him a good scolding. If you want to fish for bananas, you should go to the stream. The wishing well is a tourist attraction built by adults. It's lifeless stagnant water. Is that the problem? Even after living in this world for 12 years, Zun Zun still complained a lot about its farming system. Tisk, Megumin seemed to have figured it out, so she simply put away her rod, pulled Yunyun along, and headed toward the stream. Zun Zun didn't follow. He hadn't even learned how to stand on stagnant water, so going to a stream was a waste of time, so he stayed there practicing alone. He practiced for a long time, and even the sun was about to set. Although he hadn't mastered it yet, he had already found a certain sensitivity, and thought he would be able to walk on water successfully in no time. It would be great to stand on water while fighting the enemy. Zun Zun trembled with excitement just thinking about it. It turned out that he had been influenced by the Red Demon Clan without realizing it. On his way home, he heard shouts behind him, getting closer and closer. Little sister, that's right, little sister. Then, a hand patted him on the shoulder. Zun Zun turned around with a blank face and said, "Hello, I'm a boy." She seemed very surprised by Zun Zun's words, but she quickly bowed and apologized without behaving like an adult. Sorry. He looked at her again. She had long brown hair with curly bangs on top and was in her early 20s. Her large almond-shaped eyes and cherry-colored mouth contrasted sharply with her somewhat pale skin. She wore a long black-purple dress with golden hems and cuffs, and her figure was well-proportioned. Her ample pectoral muscles, outlined by several belt-like guards, were strikingly prominent, attracting attention. She was undoubtedly an exceedingly powerful great mage. But for some reason, she always had an aura of weakness about her, giving the impression of being easily bullied. Zun Zun blinked. Elder sister, you must be an outsider. What are you doing in Crimson Demon Village? Yes. In fact, I'm looking for someone. Do you know where the magic tool master, Mr. Piao lives? No, that was too much. When did Piao become a magic tool master? And who are you? Master, what do you do? As if reading the question in Zun Zun's eyes, he quickly explained, actually, I own a magic item shop in Axel. I've had the pleasure of seeing the magic items Mr. Piao makes, so I hope to buy some from him and sell them in my shop. Zun Zun seemed to know who she was. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Wiz, and I own a magic item shop. It was you. The poor, weak witch. Zun Zun had seemed familiar, and after hearing her introduction, he instantly remembered who she was. She was a genuine fortune teller. Not many people shared Piao aesthetic taste. Little brother? Little brother, Wiz, seeing Zun Zun deep in thought, grew flustered. Oh, Mr. Piao is a crimson demon, and he lives in the Crimson Demon Village, right? Yes, really? I'm sure I found the right place. Well, it's getting late. Can you take me to Mr. Piao house? Of course, follow me, thank you. The two of them headed to Piao house. Upon reaching the small slope leading to Megumin's house and discovering that the stable-like house was Piao Wiz fell silent for a moment. She knocked on the slightly crooked door. The sound of running feet echoed from inside, and as it opened, a small boy appeared before her. Mimi, Sister Zun Zun. Zun Zun was speechless. Noticing a strange look in Wiz's eyes, he patiently corrected her. He's my brother, sister. Brother. Sister, I'm tired. Destroy him, quickly. Not wanting to dwell on the matter any further, Zun Zun quickly asked, Mimi, is Uncle Piao home? No, he's out with my mother, Mimi said in a baby voice. Wiz's disappointment was palpable upon hearing this answer. Zun Zun also apologized. I'm sorry. Uncle Piao goes to the market every month to sell magic tools. He's not home these days. If you need anything, why don't you leave your contact information? I'll contact you when he gets back. That's all I can do. Wiz nodded in disappointment and left a letter full of praise for Piao magic tools. It also included his contact information and the location of his shop, and expressed his desire for cooperation. Honestly, he didn't understand why she admired Piao things so much, but it was his preference, and he had no right to interfere. Wiz soon left. Zun Zun waited with Mimi for Megumin to return. When Megumin returned home and heard someone praising her father's trash, she put on a rather subtle expression. Zun Zun also saw a bunch of bananas on his fishing rod, and his expression was rather subtle. Did you really catch it? Chapter 45. It's dinner time again. For the past 2 days, Megumin and Yunyun had been together all day, with no one knowing what they were up to, which made Yunyun feel like an outsider. It wasn't that he was jealous, but that he felt like they were going behind his back. This feeling was particularly unpleasant. It wasn't until the next night, when he saw Sister Taoluo return looking rather disheveled, that he found out what had happened. It all started with J. Green Broccoli. That damn jerk had feelings for Sister Taoluo, but was too shy to express it directly. So he tried to bribe Megumin and Yunyun, hoping they would help him. But he didn't consider that these two had never been in love, so how could they have any ideas? So naturally, his suggestions were random, causing Sister Taoluo considerable suffering. Of course, Sister Taoluo graciously forgave him, saying that J. Green Broccoli had done it for a fortune teller. But how was it possible that Zun Zun, upon hearing those words from the well, failed to understand what the bully meant? He immediately put down his chopsticks and silently picked up the axe from the door. Sister Taoluo was completely baffled. Zun Zun, where are you going? I'm picking mushrooms for tonight's extra meal. That night, a wave of ghostly howls arose from Crimson Demon Village. Many attributed it to the ghosts in the cemetery, and the adults in the village began to exorcise them. The next day, Zun Zun, upon arriving at school, said to the two men with a hint of anger, "Would you please stop causing any more trouble? How could that damned neat be worthy of my trapped sister? No, don't say that. Broccoli J has his merits." "Oh? Then, Yunyun, tell me, what are his merits?" Yunyun found it hard to think of anything good about Broccoli J. Megumin had already given up on being questioned. She felt like she had already done enough in exchange for a sumptuous meal, considering Neat had nothing to offer. A great mage? In the outside world, that might be worthy of praise, but here in the Crimson Demon clan, it simply didn't measure up. The eldest son of a shoe store? Come on, there was only one in Crimson Demon Village, so of course it was one of them. Then, you two can no longer interfere, understand? Yes. I understand, Yunyun lowered her head in embarrassment, while Megumin pouted. Suddenly, Ruan Hu approached them, saying excitedly, "Did you know? I heard a potential hero has arrived in this village." A potential hero? The so-called potential hero was the extraterrestrial visitor Zun Zun had read about in books, the one sent by the stupid goddess. I know, Dong Donggu interrupted excitedly. I met that guy yesterday. He's a handsome, radiant boy. I heard he came here looking for a partner to defeat the Demon King. Partners? Zun Zun suddenly understood. Even if the Crimson Demons had some mental issues, their strength was undeniable. Every single one of them had a talent. No one knew magic better than the Crimson Demons. Why is he here now? If I had waited for him to learn magic, wouldn't I have been able to keep up? Dong Donggu sighed ruefully. His type was a handsome, radiant boy. Wait? A potential hero? A handsome, radiant boy? Zun Zun raised an eyebrow and asked, what kind of person is he? Does he seem strong? He's with 2 girls. Amazing magical power can be sensed from the weapons he's carrying. He seems to be a very gentle person. He seems to be a swordsman, right? His name is Ken. It was Ken Hibiki. Although Ken Hibiki is a bit narcissistic, he's actually a man with a strong sense of justice. He fell in love with an idiot goddess and suffered greatly. Furthermore, the surroundings of the Crimson Demon Village are home to many powerful monsters. The fact that he was able to cross such a dangerous area and come here shows that his strength is genuine. Unfortunately, he was defeated by Sato Kazuma, who has the lowest adventure profession. And twice. Hearing that they could cross the dangerous area, Ruan Hu's eyes lit up even more. He hurriedly asked, "How long will that guy stay here? If it's a while, I can leave with him as soon as I learn magic." Dong Donggu shook his head. He said he'll be leaving the village in the next few days. If he stays a little longer, I'll keep him as reinforcement. What a pity. All the girls looked disappointed upon hearing this. Reserve heroes are usually very powerful, and the companions they recruit are also usually very skilled, so it's easy for them to make a name for themselves. Fame and popularity are quite attractive to the Crimson Demons. Zun Zun had considered that. After all, compared to a certain scoundrel, Otaku, NEET, Mitsurugi Hibaki's personality was far superior. Zun Zun? Zun Zun. Are you listening? Sorry, I was distracted. Megumin snapped Zun Zun out of his thoughts. Ruan Hu and Dong Donggu had already changed the subject and started chatting on their own. Yunyun was trying hard to keep up with their train of thought, but luckily, they didn't ignore her. Zun Zun glanced at the girl, implying with his eyes that he needed help. Megumin suddenly lowered her head, timidly tugged on his sleeve, and whispered, "Oh, Zun Zun, can I come over to your house tonight?" A heartbeat. Imagine a girl saying something like that to you. It's obvious she has it in mind. How many boys would lose control at that moment? And it was Megumin who said it. If Ruan Hu and Dong Donggu had heard it, they would surely have been stunned. That little girl, so aloof and seemingly cut off from the world, could be so shy. "I know. I'll wait for you at home, thank you," the little girl smiled sweetly. After school, Zun Zun went to the wishing pond to practice as usual. Megumin said she had something to do and left early, but with Yunyun by her side, he wasn't alone. After 2 weeks of floating, he could barely stand. It had to be said that this movement alone was so impressive that even Yunyun found it breathtaking. But standing isn't enough, running and rolling should be as easy as on level ground. Floating is a long and arduous journey. At night, the little lolly arrived at Zun Zun's house, bringing an even younger lolly with her. Megumin said, "Excuse me, my parents are at the market, and we haven't had anything solid to eat in 3 days. Could you please have a little compassion for us?" "I knew it. Please have compassion for Mimi, Oni-chan." Mimi blinked. "Something's up, bro." "Nothing's up, sis. This little lolly has her way with everyone. Come in, dinner's ready." "Yes. It's time for dinner again." The X2 sisters clapped their hands happily. Megumin smiled happily. "From today on, you may be called Mimi, the charming. I am Mimi. As the one in charge of the house, I am one of the most charming sisters in the Crimson Demon clan." Mimi placed her hands on her forehead, striking a strange pose. He's definitely going to be an important figure. Chapter 46, Stop Fighting. The Crimson Demons. No, it's worth mentioning that the other world still takes combat very seriously. If we compare combat classes to physical education, the ratio of liberal arts to physical education in my previous life was roughly 9:1, while in the other world it was 4:6. Today, Zun Zun was still undergoing combat training, but it was a little different from usual. The teacher, standing in front of the courtyard with his arms crossed, said, "This world is full of dangers. No one can avoid fighting, and this is especially true for the Crimson Demons. So, what do we need most to survive in battle?" Yunyun, answer, "Comrades. With comrades, our probability of survival increases drastically. Helping each other and compensating for each other's deficiencies allows the team to face any kind of crisis." Honestly, Yunyun's answer had already given Zun Zun full marks, but unfortunately, the teacher disagreed. Megumin, what's your answer?" "It's firepower. Overwhelming force. Superb firepower that can blow any enemy to bits. Whether it's a demon or a demon king, as long as there's explosive magic, we'll blow them all to bits." The little girl only focused on explosive magic, so her answer wasn't surprising. After hearing the two of them's answers, the teacher crossed his arms and nodded repeatedly. "Teacher, what were our grades?" "X2A3 for both of us." "What a disappointment. You two just sit on your knees and listen to my lecture." Phew, he couldn't help but spit out. Then he shouted, "Zun Zun. Unlike those two copycat Crimson Demons who only have good grades, you, the Crimson Demon of the Crimson Demons, should know the answer. It's the line before the battle." Zun Zun shouted without hesitation, "After this battle, I will go home and get married. I will confess my love to you when I return." "You can't say such things. On the contrary, if the enemy says things like, 'You will win, you are the challenger,' there is a high chance that I will die." Full score. Come back later and get the skill potion. The master was delighted with a satisfactory response. In fact, the Crimson Demons have a book of immortal quotations passed down through generations, which contains many flags that can and cannot be set up. Zun Zun simply refined them. Alright then, split into pairs and practice your pre-battle lines. The teacher said so, and the students acted. Zun Zun and Yugu Wei were in the same group. Lately, he really liked being in the same group with her, because unlike the ignorant Megumin and Yunyun, Yugu Wei was really good at it. She could keep up with him with just a pat on the butt, no, just a little hint, and cooperated with his acting to meet his demands, which made him appreciate her very much. For example, Zun Zun raised his head slightly, looked at Yugu Wei, who was slightly taller than him, and said arrogantly and confidently, "Next up, it's you, Yugu Wei." Damn it, Zun Zun. Yugu Wei's eyes, which were not covered by the blindfold, were filled with anger. He clenched his right fist tightly, and after a short pause, he slowly walked towards Zun Zun. Zun Zun praised him upon seeing this. "Oh, when your companions have fallen to the ground and can't get up, did you get up again, not even wanting to run away, but walk towards me, Zun Zun? Your companions finally revealed my abilities to you, like candidates still answering questions at the end of the exam, and they tried their best to tell you. If I don't get close, how can I hit you with my fist? In that case, you'd better get close." Zun Zun also walked towards her. When the two of them were less than 30 centimeters apart, the aura on their bodies continued to condense, and they only stared at each other in their eyes. Then, wave, 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 muda, 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 they attacked each other as if no one was around. Ruanu was surprised to see him. What are those two over there doing? Did they just agree to practice the lines before the battle? Why did they suddenly start fighting? I understand, they must have sympathy, and under the influence of the atmosphere, no, under the guidance of fate, they couldn't help but act. Dongdonga seemed to understand. How can there be fate for the same race? Ruanu complained, then shouted at the two of them, "Enough. Stop fighting, both of you, stop fighting." Unfortunately, the two of them who were fully focused couldn't hear him. Of course, Zun Zun couldn't use his full strength. The strength capable of killing a mid-level demon with a single blow, if used against Yugu Wei's fragile body, would definitely split it in two. But even if Zun Zun deliberately restricted his strength, Yugu Wei was soon crushed by Zun Zun due to physical exhaustion. Zun Zun looked at Yugu Wei, who was still lying on the ground in a stunned state, and sneered, "Hey, what's wrong? Is this the only level you can reach? Come on, let me see your strength again, let me enjoy it again. I lost. Ku, kill me." Yugu Wei looked away. What did he say? Ku, kill? Noticing that Zun Zun was stunned, Yugu Wei seemed to realize something was wrong, thought for a moment, and said, "Isn't that right? I read it in the book." "No, this is the special line for gentlemen." "I see, I'm a great magician, so I'm not sorry? Then I'll change. I lost, and I'll leave it to you to deal with it." Yu Gaohu looked away again. Although it was a punishment, Zun Zun couldn't do anything to her, and it was obvious that he didn't mean it. He was just repeating the lines from the book to finish the play. After the performance, Zun Zun naturally stepped aside and lifted her up at the same time. She felt a little dissatisfied. Next time, she should say the famous line, "I don't want to be a human being anymore" first. On the other hand, Megumin and Yunyun became partners and practiced the lines before the battle, and they also fought each other like Zun Zun and Yu Gaohu. It's just that they weren't carried away by the atmosphere, but seemed to rush into battle. Yunyun lightly kicked Megumin's stomach to prevent the little lolly from rushing forward and being subdued by the blocking technique. The strategy was good, but... meow, the sound from Megumin's abdomen stopped Yunyun. To be precise, it wasn't the little lolly's abdomen, but the small black one hidden in her clothes. Yunyun panicked upon discovering it. Megumin, on the other hand, smiled and walked over to Yunyun, retorting, "What's wrong? Why are you so nervous all of a sudden? If you don't keep attacking, I'll take the initiative." Wait. Yunyun backed away nervously, shouting, "Don't turn Hei upside down. How am I supposed to attack like this? Yaoyan, you just talked about allies, what will you do at a time like this? Look, allies don't just help you. Sometimes they are taken hostage and become a burden." The girl's words made perfect sense. "But, if it were me, I would use my immense firepower to blow my allies into the air. Come on, attack if you can. You named this cat, so kick it if you can. Come on. Yunyun couldn't even kick. The students watching her looked at her in dismay. She could even blow up her allies. The little girl was truly despicable. Chapter 47, Ducks are so cute, how can we eat them? Good morning, Megumin. Have you had breakfast yet? Good morning, Zun Zun. It seems like a lot of people have been paying respects to my sister lately, so I got my fair share, so I ate a lot. Have you finally given up your dignity? Mimi is incredibly adorable, and everyone who sees her says she's going to become an important figure, making her a favorite of the Crimson Demons. Whenever the little girl's family is struggling to make ends meet, Megumin takes Mimi begging around the village, under the guise of paying tribute. Especially the past 2 days. Her chubby little brother fell ill, and with the elders away, they had no choice but to borrow money from Yunyun. But the little girl mistook it for extortion. Although she claimed she wasn't helping Yunyun, she took Mimi to the pharmacy to beg, and the scariest thing was, she got what she asked for. Unfortunately, it wasn't the medicine that would help his chubby little brother. Today I plan to brew a superior potion in potions class. Zun Zun, you'll help me as well. Superior potions, skill point potions are also a type of superior potion. Since they can only learn basic health restoring potions, getting access to them earlier can help them gain experience. Okay, no problem, Zun Zun nodded. In potions class, at first, the professor disapproved of the two of them brewing superior potions, but after Zun Zun said, I'm brimming with inspiration. If we combine the strength of the Crimson Demon clan's superior and inferior talents, we could create a god-level potion that can resurrect the dead, something everyone would desire. The professor nodded and handed him the recipe. Zun Zun looked at the recipe and said, to make the superior healing potion, you must first grind the dried liver of a fire dragon into powder. Zun Zun Zun, it's starting to spark. Is it really normal? Yunyun, who had offered to help, looked at the blackened test tube in the girl's hands, unable to hide her concern. Nothing's wrong, nothing's wrong. Now, add the incredibly resilient datura root. It's breathing fire. It's breathing fire, normal, normal, Zun Zun said indifferently, and continued, and then add Farfetch, don't even think about it, Yunyun suddenly cried, grabbing the girl's hand. Megumin frowned and said, Yunyun, what are you doing? Stop trying to stop me from mixing the potion. I have to finish it before the test tube explodes. Something that explodes isn't a potion. No, I won't let you continue. How could you have the nerve to do that to such a cute Farfetch'd? Yunyun shook her head vigorously, tears in her eyes. Her compassion overflowed again. Unconsciously, the surrounding classmates also looked at the girl with deeply saddened expressions. Farfetch'd, his eyes wide with confusion, tilted his head. Well, it was adorable. But Zun Zun closed the formula and said, Yunyun, no matter how cute this thing is, it's still a monster. There are many monsters in the world that look innocent but are actually very terrifying. Take Anal Girl, for example. Master, you've taught us, right, Anal Girl is a monster who looks human, but is actually a plant monster. She uses her beauty to make people want to protect her so much that they won't want to leave her side, weakening and dying. That's right. That's what I said. Yunyun still refused to budge. Zun Zun sighed lightly and said, calm down first. Besides, the recipe says that the only ingredient needed to make the potion is spring onions, not their internal organs, so there's no need to kill them. Huh? Is that so? Scallions are generally considered a good remedy and have many uses. They can be eaten, worn, and inserted into something. They're all quite useful. Wait, what do you mean, inserted into something? That doesn't matter. Zun Zun had no intention of showering the young and naive Yunyun with useless, yellow waste. Megumin, frustrated by Yunyun's overreaction, said, really? Who do you think I am? I love cute animals and want to prevent senseless killings. That's true. I'm really sorry. Yunyun lowered her head in embarrassment. Zun Zun, while chopping scallions, said, I didn't expect Megumin to let Farfetch go. After all, Farfetch is a rare monster that gives tons of experience points and tastes delicious, a lot of experience points, and it tastes delicious. Yunyun apologized, I'm so sorry. I thought you were going to say it's a medicinal ingredient, a level up booster, and a nice lunch, killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Suddenly, the girl's hand slid down Farfetch's slender neck with lightning speed. Crack! There was a cracking sound, and Farfetch let out a soft shriek before going still. Megumin looked at her adventurer card and saw that her level had risen 2 levels, giving her 2 more skill points. Just 2 points away from learning explosive magic, the girl smiled. She proudly handed the card to Yunyun, who gasped. Megumin's level has risen, idiot, Yunyun shouted even louder today. The girl also earned the title of Duck Killer. After school, the two of them gave the potion they had brewed to Ruang Hu. At first, she hated it, but after Zun Zun, the top-ranked player, repeatedly assured her that it would be effective, she reluctantly accepted it. This attitude infuriated the girl, who gritted her teeth and snatched Yunyun's money. That night, the girl brought little Lolly and a large braised duck with the onion missing to Zun Zun's house. They expected her to eat the duck herself, but the girl said she didn't know how to cook duck and that her cooking wasn't as good as Zun Zun's, so she came in her place. Well, I thought I was the chef. Zun Zun suggested that since the students were angry about her killing the duck to gain experience points today, they should share the finished duck to appease their resentment. Megumin hesitated for a long time, reticent to share the food, but after Mimi's persuasion, she agreed. The next day, Zun Zun brought the braised duck to school, where it received much praise. Even the teacher praised him and offered him an ability potion as a reward, but at the little girl's gaze, they gave it to him. Everyone was delighted. Except for Yunyun. Her eyes welled up with tears as she gazed at the braised duck, sobbing, "How can we eat such a cute duck?" Oh no, I forgot Yunyun's feelings. It was like eating meat in front of a vegetarian. The sin was, indeed, sinful. The little girl went even further, holding up a duck leg in front of Yunyun, as if tasting her tears. Horrible. So horrible. But, what was this inexplicable comfort? It wasn't until Megumin returned Yunyun's bag to her that she understood what was going on. Then, the little girl forced a duck wing into her mouth. "Is the food your friend gave you delicious, friend?" "Yes, how delicious." Yunyun's eyes welled up with tears. "Great, she did it too." Chapter 48, Born Evil Red Devil, I personally. From the school, since the potion matter had been successfully resolved, Yunyun expressed her wish to treat them to a meal. Megumin gladly accepted, but Zun Zun declined. As the aquatic training had reached a critical point, he felt that today he would be able to break through the bottleneck of fighting in the water. Just as he was concentrating on staying afloat, a harsh sound echoed throughout Crimson Demon Village. Clang clang clang. Zun Zun subconsciously frowned. He remembered that that bell was only used in emergencies. Could it be that the Demon King's army was attacking again? Thinking of this, he raised his head. What came into view was an army of countless monsters flying in the twilight sky. The huge crowd of monsters covered the sky, and the oppressive atmosphere made people frown. They then scattered in all directions as if searching for something. Had the gargoyle's potted plant magic failed again? No, it hadn't. Not to mention the last riot, which forced the headmaster and his team to destroy all the gargoyle pots after the neighborhood committee protested. There shouldn't be that many gargoyles even in Crimson Devil Village. This horde of monsters clearly came from outside. Had the evil god seal failed? The teacher had always warned them to reinforce the seal on the forbidden area, but now it seemed even more likely. It shouldn't be that big a deal. This was Crimson Devil Village, teeming with great mages. No matter how many hordes of monsters arrived, they would just be food. The headmaster and teachers were eager for the seal to fail, eager to stop them. In the dark sky, amid the ringing of bells, several vivid flashes of bluish-white spread out. The villagers must have seized the opportunity beneath the flashes, exerting their own strength. It seemed they could contain the situation quickly. Zun Zun had ignored them at first, believing it best to go home and wait for the adults to finish off the monsters. But seeing the horde of monsters flying in a certain direction, his expression suddenly changed. "Is that Megumin's house?" Without a second thought, Zun Zun rushed toward Megumin's house. He was fast, no, incredibly fast. Unlike the frail Grand Mage, he arrived at Megumin's house in just 3 minutes. By then, the gate to Megumin's house had been destroyed, and Megumin and Yunyun stood there, stunned. "Megumin, Yunyun, Zun Zun," she hurriedly called out. Inside Megumin's small, ramshackle house, there was the sound of someone rudely rummaging around. But the Piao and his wife weren't home, and Megumin was there. Mimi wouldn't be so rude. And with the horde of monsters approaching, it was easy to imagine who was inside. Mimi, Megumin, calm down, Mimi. I told you to calm down." The girl staggered toward the destroyed entrance, and Zun Zun held her shoulders to prevent her from moving. Hearing Zun Zun's words, he muttered, "No, it's no problem. My sister is the reincarnation of Yazdrubago, the god of gluttony. If she's in danger, the seal will break, and in time, she'll conquer the world with me. Are you also one of the twins on the throne? Your true form is the Dragon King, right? She looked quite shaken, resorting to some Chunyabaku, high school, attempt at stunning herself. Yunyun couldn't take it anymore and slapped her. Stop it. Megumin, calm down, Puha. After the blow, the girl finally came to her senses. It hurts, it hurts. She covered her slightly red cheeks and said to the two of them seriously, now is not the time for nonsense. My sister, Mimi should be home. We have to sneak in and rescue her. That girl is so agile and strong, she shouldn't be eaten by monsters. Quick, stop dragging your feet, she was so lost just now, and now she's like this again. It's really frustrating. Zun Zun didn't want to argue, walking in front and protecting the two behind. Please, Zun Zun, use your disgusting power to destroy these evil monsters. What do you mean, disgusting? He couldn't help but roll his eyes. But the little girl clung to his arm tightly, trembling slightly, her eyes filled with anxiety, perhaps her way of relaxing her nerves. The three of them tiptoed toward the ping-pong-filled room. Mimi's screams didn't come from the room, and the worst-case scenario crossed Megumin's mind, but she restrained herself from making a sound. As soon as they reached the entrance, they were met with a monster. A creature with a bird's beak and a reptilian face. It stared at the three of them. Zun Zun. Zun Zun, don't push me. And it's just a low-level demon. Why are you so scared? Do you still have the nerve to call yourselves Crimson Demons? Zun Zun stepped forward and kicked it. It was no exaggeration to say that not even the mid-level demon from last time could withstand the force, let alone the low-level demon in front of them. They expected it to explode, shatter, and scream in pain, but the monster didn't even resist, disappearing in a puff of black smoke. What was going on? Was this a summoning spell? By then, the room was quiet, indicating that there was only one monster in Megumin's house. The girl noticed and shouted for her sister. Mimi. Mimi, where are you? But no matter how much they called, the three of them searched everywhere, but they found no sign of Mimi, no trace of blood on the ground. No, outside. Mimi shouldn't be back yet. Let's go take a look. No, it's too dangerous outside. I'll go, wait inside, maybe Mimi will come back in the meantime. Zun Zun stopped them. Megumin and Yunyun hadn't learned magic yet, and their power was far inferior to Zun Zun's. Honestly, going out wouldn't do much good. But, Megumin, trust Zun Zun, okay? Please, Zun Zun. My sister, please bring her back. And, even if it's just speculation, she should be in the forbidden area right now. Leave it to me. Zun Zun nodded and ran out of the house. The theatrical graveyard, just outside the village, looked particularly eerie at night, illuminated by the magical light from the lanterns. Oddly, although there were still monsters flying in the sky, Zun Zun didn't seem especially worried, but rather searching for something. Zun Zun was glad to be left alone. Soon they arrived at the theatrical graveyard. It was quiet. Except for the monsters that had appeared that night and the villagers who had come to kill them, and since it was a forbidden area, few people came. But Zun Zun spotted a figure there. Its enormous body, outstretched wings, and demonic horns indicated that it wasn't human. It was crouching on the ground, its head tilted back as if basking in the moonlight. You're the one behind this, the one who ruined the village. What? Seeing a little red demon slowly approaching, his pale yellow pupils filled with confusion. I'm Zun Zun, and I have something to ask you. I'm Senior Demon House, no matter who you are. Zun Zun interrupted his introduction and said, I want to ask you, have you seen a little red demon around here? Hey. Don't red demons always introduce themselves before appearing? How dare you interrupt someone? No, or is what that brat taught me wrong? The demon touched his chin, a little unsure. Huh? Are you joking? Looking at the demon in front of him, Zun Zun curled his lips in disdain. Why should I introduce myself to a demon? I'm too lazy to talk to you. You don't deserve to hear it, you. The demon seemed a little angry. He shouted, you inherently evil little crimson demon, I'll kill you right now. Puff, as he spoke, Zun Zun's foot slammed into his abdomen, sending him flying. Literally, he flew through the air. Seeing the demon flap its wings and hover in the air, Zun Zun didn't give it a chance to counterattack. He ducked, pushed off with his legs, and shot up like an onion, kicking it again. Unfortunately, it dodged nimbly. Having wings is really useful. Zun Zun hadn't mastered the technique of spiraling up with his left foot yet, and the demon in front of him was quite agile in the air, so he could dodge any number of attacks. Furious, Zun Zun took out his adventurer card, ready to learn magic and teach it a lesson. By now, the demon was also a little angry. "I'll kill you." "No, that brat said she wouldn't play with me if I bullied the red demons." "Tisk, I am Hoster, the high-ranking demon. This time I'll let you go. I'll come back." With that, he flapped his wings and flew away. "Will you come back? You'd better stop calling yourself Hoster and call yourself Grey Wolf. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49 Explosion. Fighting him? Not really. After Hoster, the high-ranking demon, left, Zun Zun had no intention of chasing after him. Finding Mimi was his top priority. Besides, Hoster wouldn't harm him. Hadn't he just said that if he hurt someone from the Crimson Demon clan, Mimi wouldn't play with him? Getting caught by the little Lolita, what a disgrace for a demon. Zun Zun continued running through the forbidden area. To reiterate, the Crimson Demon Village is a vast area that houses the Heretic God Graveyard, the Watchtower, the Altar, the Forbidden Technology Vault, and so on. The ratio of the forbidden area to the Crimson Demon Village is roughly 3:2. Zun Zun was at the altar, near the fields he had cultivated. Since Megumin, Yunyun, and the other two were at school, Mimi had been assigned to take care of the land and would often come here to play. But the little Lolita wasn't there right now. Where could she be? Suddenly, an explosion echoed in the depths of the forbidden area, the ground trembled slightly, and flames shot up into the sky. Was that Yunyun's magic? Zun Zun's heart sank. He had told them to stay put, so why were they still in the forbidden area? He turned and ran into the flames. Soon, Zun Zun saw Megumin's sister, Mimi. She was standing in a daze in the middle of the road, watching the flames and lightning bursting in front of her. Instead of fear, she clapped her hands in excitement. "Mimi, Sister Zun Zun, it's my brother." Zun Zun quickly walked up to the girl and checked her for injuries. Except for a bit of mud on her clothes, she was unharmed. He breathed a sigh of relief and asked, "Mimi, what are you doing here?" "I'm playing." He spoke with such confidence that it was impossible to reprimand him. While most children would run home when it rained or thundered, the Crimson Demons were able to pose in the rain, even boasting one-liners like, "Break the darkness with thunder." Also, "My sister is here too, Megumin." She paused briefly upon hearing Mimi's words. Just by sensing Yunyun's magical power, I could guess what was going on. "My sister said she would help me get Ziohei back, so she ran back." "Really? She's a good sister." "Yes. A good sister." Mimi's little face lifted into an innocent smile. Zun Zun rubbed her head and said, "Okay, in that case, brother will help you bring your sister back too." "Really? But it looks really dangerous over there." "Huh? Who do you think I am?" Before you stand Zun Zun, the reserve warrior chosen by the goddess, wielder of a divine body, the number one of the new generation of the Crimson Demon clan, aspiring to be the strongest Crimson Demon clan, the one and only supreme in heaven and earth. Zun Zun pointed at the ground with his left index and middle fingers, and at the sky with his right index and middle fingers. The gesture perfectly matched the fire and lightning behind him, causing the little lolly to clap her hands in excitement and astonishment. "Mimi, stay here, I want to go too, is that okay?" "Yes. Even though my sister said that their next battle might not be that impressive, I want to see it, so I want to go too." Mimi clenched her fists, her fighting spirit sky high. She really is a Crimson Demon. She'll definitely be an important figure when she grows up. "Okay, let's go together." Zun Zun picked up Mimi and carried her on his shoulders, quickly running towards where the fire and lightning were constantly bursting out. On the other side, Megumin watched Yunyun casting magic non-stop and shouted behind her back, "Yunyun, I'm here to help you." "Wait, what are you doing here? Did you escape?" Without taking her eyes off the monsters falling one after another, Yunyun shouted with her back facing her. The girl snorted softly. "How could I escape after owing a favor to someone who calls herself my rival? You were the one who considered me a rival in the beginning. Besides, I'm already a true magician who has learned magic. I'm nothing like that copycat magician." "Megumin, copy? How dare you say that? A mere intermediate magician." "Intermediate magician sounds like a useless Crimson Demon." "Don't call me that." While they were arguing, The monster on the ground lunged at Yunyun. But the ever-focused Yunyun didn't let her guard down. She lifted Ziohei to her feet and quickly rolled out of the way. At the same time, she swung the dagger at her waist with her free hand. Whether it was due to good aim or pure luck, the dagger pierced the monster's throat. With a sound like an exhalation, the stabbed monster fell to the ground, clutching its neck, and disappeared in a puff of black smoke. Seeing this, the other monsters also swooped toward Yunyun. Megumin walked up to Yunyun and said, "Looks like you're in danger, intermediate magician Yunyun. Now, I, a soon-to-be advanced magician, will help you take down these weaklings." "Wait a minute, what are you talking about? Why do you think I learned intermediate magic?" Yunyun reached out toward the attacking monsters. Still trying to justify herself, Megumin said, "From today on, you will no longer boast. I will acknowledge you as my competitor. Speaking of which, don't you think you'll surpass me just by graduating first? Keep dreaming. Afterward, I will too." Fireball. Before Megumin could finish, Yunyun unleashed a fireball spell at the monster horde. Imbued with all of her magical power, the fireball exploded in the center of the swarm, causing an explosion beyond the scale of intermediate magic, a resounding roar that echoed throughout the area. 7 monsters descended from the sky and dissipated along with the black smoke. The effect was extraordinary. After confirming that the enemy had been completely annihilated, Yunyun fell to her knees, perhaps exhausted from the exertion. Megumin rushed to her side. Then, Megumin no longer needs to learn advanced magic. A smug expression crossed Yunyun's face, pale from the depletion of her magical power. But before Megumin could argue, her expression froze again. Megumin followed her gaze, but the words on her lips faltered as the horde of monsters continued to descend upon them. "It's over." Yunyun felt powerless. Megumin, however, stood up, her small figure impeccably upright, seemingly unfazed by the horde. Her eyes glowed crimson with excitement. Wait. Megumin, don't worry, Yunyun, I'll finish off these little minions." "Megumin, are you trying to learn advanced magic? Don't you always say you love burst magic? A genius like me can easily hunt down a bunch of monsters with just 30 points. No matter how long it takes me, I must learn burst magic." "That's right, even if it takes me a few years or decades. I must learn burst magic." Megumin took out her adventurer card, her fingers trembling as she reached for the advanced magic column. Honestly, this had been her dream since childhood, so how could she let it go so easily? But there was no other way to save Yunyun. She was only 1 skill point short. Yesterday, she was 4 short. She had gained 2 points by killing Farfetch'd, and now, with that skill point potion the teacher gave her for the braised duck, she was only 1 point short, so close to learning explosive magic, and now it seemed so unattainable. There was no other option. The girl decided not to hesitate any longer, opening her eyes with a flash of determination. Just as she was about to learn advanced magic, "Megumin," a voice called out in the distance. "Go." A small bottle, thrown in a perfect parabola, struck her head, only to be gently caught by the giant mage's hat and land in her arms. "What's this?" The girl stared at the bottle in her hands in disbelief. From afar, Zun Zun raised his right fist at her, shouting encouragingly, "For me, for us. Megumin, use explosive magic on them." "Go ahead, little sister," Mimi cried. "Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha." Megumin burst into a fit of frenzied laughter as she threw back her head and drank the ability potion. Then, a surge of extraordinary magical energy swept through her, causing the surrounding atmosphere to radiate and the trees to droop. "Unbelievable. Little sister is discharging electricity. It's crackling. Mimi, you must watch carefully. This is your little sister's most glorious moment yet." Zun Zun silently watched the girl. As her magic power continued to accumulate, static electricity surrounded her, blurring and distorting the surrounding landscape. This was likely due to her lack of control over her magic power, which prevented her from concentrating it all on magic. The small amount of magic power leaked out, causing physical interference. A huge magic circle expanded before their eyes like a ring, enveloping the vast sea of monsters in the sky. A chant followed. Zun Zun couldn't help but join in the chant in a low voice. "This is the flame of origin, and also the flame of the end. This is the forbidden power of the present, past, and future, transcending all things. Flame, I am a destroyer, cold-blooded and ruthless. Now, with my blood and flesh, I will break the commandments of the ancient gods." Bang! Light descended from the sky, striking the center of the group of monsters. An instant later, a dazzling fireworks display filled the night sky. Boom. Nuclear war. Chapter 50. We all have a bright future. Unlike explosion and explosion is the strangest of the three independent spells. Learning explosion requires a whopping 50 skill points, and even after learning it, it is incredibly powerful and cannot be used in dungeons. It also drains the mage's magic and stamina, leaving them defenseless after each cast. The master repeatedly told them that explosion is a joke. However, it is also the most powerful magic, annihilating dragons, demons, gods, and demon kings. It is arguably humanity's last trump card. Although I would like to call it an exaggeration, the undeniable fact is that both evil gods and demon kings succumb to the power of explosion. The shockwave uprooted the trees right below the side of the explosion. Zun Zun protected Mimi. Yunyun collapsed to the ground, screaming, while Megumin, oblivious to the currents of the explosion and the deafening roar, laughed heartily. As the storm of immense magical energy raged on, the monsters that had darkened the sky vanished beneath the overwhelming force and unjustifiable violence that no one could endure. And then, Megumin fell to the ground, stunned. When the smoke cleared and vision returned to normal, the monsters that once filled the sky had vanished without a trace. What is this? Yunyun groaned, forcing the words out of her throat. Is this explosive magic? This is beyond words like amazing or powerful. It can exert such power without a staff that can control and augment magical power. No wonder it's called the most powerful magic. Witnessing the astonishing destructive power of explosive magic, she seemed to understand why Megumin was so obsessed with it. Honestly, Zun Zun hadn't expected this either. After all, Megumin's magic, which transformed the terrain and destroyed all the monsters, only exerted less than half of its original power. It was true. Every magician needs one to channel their magic and increase its power, but where could they find one in such an emergency? Megumin? Hey, Megumin. Megumin fainted, her face flushed with exhaustion, scaring Yunyun into a scream. Zun Zun went over and found that she had simply fallen asleep from excessive magical and physical exertion, nothing serious. She must have been constantly tense until she mastered the magic and defeated the monster horde, then she relaxed and lost consciousness. He and Yunyun were on guard duty. The village adults, noticing the rising explosive cloud, rushed over and gave the three of them a good scolding. No, too. Megumin was fast asleep, leaving Zun Zun and Yunyun to scold her. The teacher had kept Megumin's mastery of explosive magic a secret, but the headmaster and the others already knew about her magic and Yunyun's intermediate magic. The teacher then informed them that since they had already mastered the magic, they would be graduating, and the graduation ceremony would be held that weekend. Zun Zun also considered taking the opportunity to graduate, but held back after his teacher's persuasion. Now, a new problem had arisen in the village. As usual, the three of them were hanging out by the wishing well. Yunyun said worriedly, Megumin, what do we do? The seal on that forgotten puppet goddess of vengeance the teacher mentioned has been lifted. The place where the seal was lifted is where Megumin unleashed her magic, and after the seal was lifted, the goddess disappeared. What do we do? I mean, what do we do? She frantically shook Megumin's shoulders. But Megumin, as if her brain had shut down, avoided reality. The adults in the village said that the unveiled evil god had awakened the nameless goddess and challenged her, and that she had won the battle, and that the explosion had swept away the evil god's servants and disappeared. Despite that, they couldn't feign ignorance after witnessing the entire process. Megumin had already told them everything. How Mimi had helped break the seal, how the monster army was searching for Kuro, and how Kuro might be half of the evil god. Oh no, I need to use his head. Zun Zun felt a headache hearing all this. Never mind, this kind of thing. He waved his hand in resignation, saying, anyway, no one was hurt this time, and everything turned out well. Even if the truth is different, since the villagers have accepted it, let's just leave it at that. Actually, the villagers found the story of the evil god's servants fighting the goddess of vengeance cool and interesting, so they simply said they would accept it as it was. That's all we can do. Yunyun wasn't an honest prosecutor, and she was the type who would do anything for her friends. Hiding the truth was a piece of cake. She wasn't trying to praise her. Yunyun looked at the black kitten in Megumin's arms, tilted her head with a complicated expression, and said, after all, what exactly is Kuro? Why did all the monsters attack him then? Could it be related to the evil god? And why was the seal on the evil god broken? She forgot that Yunyun was also a smart and excellent student. Luckily, she didn't seem to have figured out the key to the matter. That's right. Normally, no one would have imagined that a child's curiosity would be what undid the seal. If Megumin hadn't encountered the same problem before, she probably wouldn't have suspected Mimi. Like Chip. Megumin was about to scold Mimi, but when her sister innocently handed the fragment over and asked if she wanted to play, she was speechless. In the end, no one was hurt, so Mimi wasn't scolded. Congratulations, Coke, I say. Megumin suddenly turned to look at Zun Zun and said, now that Yunyun and I have graduated, what are you going to do? No, I've noticed that you're very treacherous, you're even enjoying the school's perks. What does that have to do with me? I told you not to leave the house, right? Zun Zun rolled his eyes. He was kidnapped by a monster that fell from the sky, and Yunyun was the one who insisted on rescuing him. Sorry, Yunyun lowered her head shyly. Why had the two of them gone to the forbidden area? In short, Yunyun's compassion overflowed. When they captured the little black cat, she wanted to rescue it, and Megumin had no choice but to tag along. That was how the two of them ended up in the forbidden area, where they ran into the missing Mimi. Alice. Actually, I wanted to take this opportunity to graduate, but Professor prevented me, since graduation meant he wouldn't be able to return to school and wouldn't enjoy any of the amenities it offered. Professor couldn't bear to see a student as talented as Zun Zun leave halfway. Seeing his enthusiasm for graduating, Professor had spent the past few days instilling the necessary knowledge in him. Even Zun Zun, with his exceptional intelligence and photographic memory, recalled the long-lost fear of being dominated by a mechanical learning system. He shuddered. Yunyun expressed pity, while Megumin gloated. And you two? What are you going to do after you graduate? Zun Zun asked. Yunyun pondered for a moment and said, I'll probably take over as clan leader. Those tests. I thought father was joking, but I didn't expect them to be real. Her expression was complex. Megumin puffed out her chest and said, I'll practice explosion magic every day and become one of the best explosion magicians in the Crimson Demon clan as soon as possible. Then I'll become an adventurer, defeat the Demon King, and become the new Demon King. Really? You work hard, so cold. She seemed somewhat displeased with Zun Zun's cold attitude. Of the three of them, one wants to be the clan leader, another wants to be the new Demon King, and the third wants to be a student. They all have bright futures. And then, the next morning, there was a knock on her door. Upon opening it, she found Megumin kneeling at her doorstep, prostrating herself and crying, Please support me. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.